Hello and welcome to another live of Sport Intellect. And here I'm joined by Jiran, Sanjeet, and Abel. Welcome, guys. And how has it been for you guys? It's a long day. It's a long auction that we had for 2 days. How has it been? How the auction has been, Jiran? If you wanna go first.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a topsy-turvy kind of auction where we saw a lot of money being splurged yesterday. And today, I think the teams were a bit more tentative at the start, but all of a sudden, when the accelerated auctions came in, that is when we saw some really smart buys. I think for me, I was overall impressed with Mumbai Indians because of the fact that they looked like they were nowhere in the auction for a long time until the accelerated auction started, and that's where they brought some really smart buys. For me, the one that stands out is Jofra Archer. The point being the fact that, I mean, even though he's not available for this IPL, the fact that he'll be much more expensive in the next IPL auction whenever he's available, and the fact that combined with Jasprit Bumrah, that is one scary at bowling attack. That is one auction. That is one buy that stood out for me.
Yep, Sanjeet, on to you.
Mm, my views, I mean, I feel the quality, except for Rajasthan Royals and the two new teams, I feel Gujarat hasn't done a very good job for somebody for a team that had that kind of person could have done whatever they could. I feel they've performed like the auction hasn't been, and maybe the first auction, the dynamics were slightly new captains. I don't know how much the players were a part of the auction, if they were, what kind of exposure they had. So, not very pleased with that. I'm very happy with Rajasthan Royals. Maybe I'm a Mumbai Indians fan, so I will not comment about them. Whatever they play with, I'll be very happy with them. But Rajasthan Royals, I feel, have had some really good buys. And I mean, it looks like a real on paper, like we said yesterday too. That's the team to beat. Mumbai Indians, on the other hand, I'm a fan, but they've made a couple of very interesting buys. But that's a team that takes care of its players to the T. I mean, I can see doctors around the world going to attend Jofra Archer now. I'll probably even see a couple of people asking him to not play Test cricket anymore. Saying, can't bowl 20 overs a day now. You have to stick to four. Everything of that sort happening. I was actually surprised. I thought Timal Mills would go for much more than that. But of course, budget was a problem. I just wonder though, somewhere I feel that the addition of two teams has, except a team or two, the addition of two more teams has somewhere weakened a few stronger teams that always focused on their core and the purse has increased by 10 crores since last time. But the addition of two new teams means about 45 or 50 players extra get jumped in, and about 10, 12 quality players got divided among the 8 teams that they had before. So we heard Akash Ambani say that he would have gone for Hardik Pandya, but then because he left the franchisee and joined another franchisee, he couldn't. We heard the CSK CEO say that they were really pumped for Faf and they really wanted him, but budget was a constraint. So I feel somewhere probably the dynamics of the budget should have been a little more. It could have been increased. But all in all, I think it's going to be the most interesting IPL. It's going to be a little more prolonged than usual. I think it's going to be very interesting.
True.
Yep, Abel, if you want to add on that.
See, for me, this auction was so much different from any other auction just because of what it offered to many teams. 10 teams auction is always interesting, isn't it? Last time we saw this was back in 2011, where you had Kochi Tuskers and Pune Warriors in the mix. But now, after almost a decade, you're having 10 teams in the auction. So it was always expected that teams are going to get divided kind of players. It was not like one team is going to get all the players they desire. So you, of course, wanted players to have the teams to have backups and backups to backups. So if you ask all the teams if they got all what they wanted, they would say no because, for example, if you look at Chennai Super Kings, they wanted Faf du Plessis, but they couldn't get him. So this is how mega auction turns out to be when it comes to 10 teams affair. But all in all, an auction which was intriguing. You even saw in the last moment, for example, Rajasthan was really trying to fill in their overseas slots. They just had, if I'm not wrong, they just had 4 overseas slots until the last acceleration, and that's where they picked up 4 in a trot for on base price. And that's something which I am really impressed about. That was a good strategy, I felt, in many ways, because you could get so many players at base price and you could still have money in your bank. So that was an interesting strategy from Rajasthan Royals. And Rajasthan Royals has been the team to talk about since last evening. So all in all, they've had a good auction. If you look at an overall mix and the squad balance, better than last 5 years, I would say. This is one of the best Rajasthan Royals team, which could probably be in the park after a very long time. So I'm excited to see them play alongside them, many other teams as well.
Yeah. If you wanna, so let's talk about the teams.
Yeah.
If you guys are ready, yep. So
Let's
let's
go.
move on to Chennai Super Kings. uh,
Let's start with Kolkata Knight Riders. I think that's first in our presentation list.
okay, all right. Then let's go to Kolkata Knight Riders. They've actually done pretty decent. Yeah. They've even bought Ajinkya Rahane back. They bought Ajinkya Rahane. Your thoughts on Jofra Archer in Mumbai Indians? So Sanjit, if
Let
you
me
would like
quickly
to,
get my team book ready and see who the team I have made. Too many names to remember for me this time.
yep. Sanjit, if you would like to answer the comment that has come, your thoughts on addition of Jofra Archer in MI?
I feel it's very interesting. What's more interesting to me is the fact that the team was waiting since yesterday for a couple of buys, probably Ishan Kishan, and I feel Jofra Archer definitely. But I
Hmm.
think that's a must. They knew that probably they couldn't get Trent Bolt for all they had to. I feel Jofra Archer is somebody. Jofra Archer, I would say almost as good as Bumrah in the T20 format, and Bumrah is the best. That's probably for me. It's Bumrah, Archer, and Rabada. Rabada, of course, would have been almost impossible to get hands on. But Jofra Archer, the one good thing was since he wasn't available this season, half the teams were already in doubt whether to go for him or not.
Yeah.
The Mumbai Indians did a good thing. If he would have been, of course, I'm sure there have been talks about there is some kind of understanding of Jofra Archer with the IPL that he will not be available for this season, but to still let him be in the auction or something. I
Yeah.
think Jofra Archer in any other auction would have fetched much more than that. If you're telling me a Pat Cummins could go to as far as 15 or an Avesh Khan could hit 10 crores, I think Jofra Archer, that's 4 overs, 2 wickets, and 20 runs. I mean, anybody would go for it. Big wickets up front. He's not a big swinger of the ball, but I mean, Jofra Archer, really one of the best. One of the, not statistically yet, but one of the best. We spoke about intimidating yesterday. A bowler's intimidating batsman. He's someone who intimidates and he can intimidate any kind of batsman. He gets really into you. And what's best, he even bowls well. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Let's start with the sports. I think we'll go with Chennai Super Kings itself. I think
okay,
the
all right.
slides. So yeah, we'll go with Chennai Super Kings.
So
Yeah.
what do you guys think about Chennai Super Kings actually? How have been their purchases have been, and they wanted Faf back, and they also did want Josh Hazelwood back. They said unfortunate of the purse that they had, they couldn't get them back. So what do you guys think on that? Like how have their purchases been today and yesterday altogether?
And let's read the squad out.
Yep.
So in batting, they have got Ruturaj Gaikwad, Devon Conway. They've got Senatpati, Hari Nishant, Robin Uthappa. If you're talking about keepers, they have three options. They've got Jagadishan back again. Then you have your evergreen MS Dhoni there, and Ambati Raidu is also keeping option. And if you talk about all-rounders, that's where this team stands out for me. They've got Ravindra Jadeja, Shivam Dubey, who they spent 4 crores on. Moin Ali, of course, they've retained him. Bravo, they've got him back. They've got Dwayne Pretorius, probably a backup for Bravo. Then they've got Bhagat Verma, who was part of the setup as well. And Chris Jordan, who I thought was a surprising pick. And Mitchell Sandner, who has been with them. So if you talk about ballers, they have Mahesh Tikshana, who I felt was a very good bowler. Rajwardhan Hangargekar, Simarjit Singh, Adam Mill, Prashant Solanki, K. Masif, Deepak Chahar, and Tushar Deshpande. So altogether, a well-rounded setup. I think they've really had a good auction. If you look at the way they've gone about it, I felt that auction dynamics worked well for them. So their idea was pretty clear. Let's get the squad back who actually invested upon for a long, long time. And I think that was a message which went out from the captain itself. It was not a owner's decision. It was not an analyst's decision. It was captain's decision. Looks like a captain's team. Looks like this is what MS Dhoni wanted in his team. And probably they would have this team looks very good on paper. I would really love to see the 11 which they will put out on the park because they've got so many options right now. They've got the likes of Shivam Dubey who's coming in. They've got someone like Mahesh Tikshana who's a very impressive pick, and Devon Conway moreover. So I'm expecting Devon Conway to open, and also Shivam Dubey would definitely find a place in the 11. So they look like a very well-rounded side, and I would like to know what you guys think about the 11. And let's start with Jaren. Yeah, Jaren, you can take the
Yeah.
11.
I mean, as a CSK fan, auctions are always a tough thing. CSK is a team which believes in retaining its core, and every auction is a threat to that core. And everyone wants to strip good team for parts. And that's probably what has happened with CSK. You saw a lot of players either being very expensive or being completely out of CSK's purse just because of the fact that they performed well. Faf was obviously a heartbreaker for a lot of us. I think uh, he's someone who's been the hero of CSK for a long time, and it's going to be very difficult to see him play for red and black instead of the yellow and blue. But aside from that, I think one thing that you know about CSK is Dhoni loves options. And once again, this team is full of options. The amount of all rounders that CSK has brought once again is kind of baffling. I think the Crickbuzz page shows around 8 all rounders, and that's pretty difficult to find in an IPL auction because T20 all rounders are always selling like hot potatoes. So it's very difficult to get all rounders in the team. For me, I think what I really love the fact. I think for me, Devon Conway is the replacement for Faf. Um, for me, the lineup will be obviously Rituraj Gaikwad opening. Then we have Devon Conway, who they will hope will be a proper replacement for Faf. Then you have obviously Moeen Ali or Robin Uthappa for me, depending on whose wicket falls first. If
I think
Rituraj Gaikwad,
Robin Uthappa doesn't make the 11. Robin Uthappa
for
doesn't make the
me,
11.
Abel, what I feel is Robin Uthappa has done well for them last season, and
Yeah.
Dhoni is someone who trusts people who have performed well in the same situation. And the way they have used Robin Uthappa is the same way, where if a wicket falls, if a right-hander falls, you have Robin Uthappa come in, and if a left-hander falls, you have Moeen Ali comes in. I think they will not go away from that formula. There's no reason I feel CSK has to do that this year. Maybe next year, or maybe if Uthappa doesn't do well, things might change. For me, again, Ambati Raidu comes in because of the connect that he's had with CSK. Then MS Dhoni as a wicketkeeper and a captain. Hopefully, as a captain this year, you never know with MS Dhoni and what is going on in his head. Ravindra Jadeja, no brainer. For what is interesting is going to be Dwayne Bravo and how many matches he plays. Because I feel Chris Jordan is a backup option for them, an insurance policy, if you may, if Dwayne Bravo is injured, or if it's a pitch which is not conducive for Dwayne Bravo's style of bowling, you might see someone like a Chris Jordan come in, and a backup for backup is Dwayne Pretorius. So that is, I think, a pretty good buy. Dwayne Pretorius for 50 lakhs is a steal for me. I mean, it remains to be seen how well he performs in IPL. But someone who's a decent batsman and a decent bowler at 50 lakhs is a steal. You've seen a lot of uncapped players going for higher than that. Adam Milne is again a replacement for Josh Hazelwood, whom I think CSK will miss dearly. Especially now, today itself, where he bowled a wonderful super over. So a lot of CSK fans' hearts would have sank when you see him bowl that well. And then finally, you have Solanki come in because they've invested in him, which means they really, really believe in him. And I expect, because you have Jadeja and Moeen Ali as two spinners are going to keep things tight. Dhoni is going to just throw the ball to Solanki and go, just go out there and enjoy yourself. So this is my lineup for CSK. And I think CSK has done a good job. They couldn't get a lot of players they wanted, but I think they've gotten very good replacements for them.
Yeah, I would say my CSK 11. I think my CSK 11, I say Ruturaj and Conway opening, Moonali at 3, and Shivam. I think I'll put Raidu at 4 and Shivam Dubey at 5, because they've spent 4 crore on this guy. The reason why they've spent, and I see, they've purposefully spent on him so that they can keep him in the fold. And Dhoni likes to have players who can offer with the ball, and that's something which we've seen of Dhoni over the years. And maybe don't be surprised if Shivam Dubey walks in at number 3 as well, just to get that Suresh Raina kind of. He'll never be a Suresh Raina for them, but then they could definitely go in with the right hand left hand combination. If, for example, if Conway falls, they could probably send in Shivam Dubey at 3 just to get that left hand game flowing, or either Moeen Ali, depending on who's there in the mix. Shivam Dubey is a fierce striker of spin, and we've seen it. We've seen him do that in domestic cricket. So I see him play, and I see him also offer with the ball for CSK. After that, I'll say Raidu. Then MS to walk in at number 6, number 7, Jadeja. Deepak Chahar will definitely play. Alongside him, I would like to say Solanki plays well. Solanki is definitely a good player. He's done well for Mumbai in domestic cricket, so I'm expecting that he will also be getting a go. A good leg spin bowler, and they've spent almost close to 3 crores on Solanki, so there's definitely a reason why they've spent on him. And alongside that, Adam Milne will start, of course, or Chris Jordan, depending on where they play. Don't be surprised if both Adam Milne and Chris Jordan play because they've got overseas slots left. So right now they have three spin bowling options in top seven. That's a great way to start off with. Actually two. Jadeja and Moeen Ali. That's an 8 over bank right there. And if you already have Shivan Dubey, he can offer you 2 overs. So 10 overs is secured right there. So that's how Dhoni operates as well. And then you have your five ballers who have always done well. And Deepak Chahar also can bat. And Chris Jordan can also offer with the bat. So it's a very long batting lineup. I think Chris Jordan looks like a replacement for Shardul Thakur more than Dwayne Bravo because, or if Dwayne Bravo plays also, it's also good. But it depends on, as you rightly mentioned, it depends on pitch where they will play him, where they will not play him. Dwayne Bravo can ideally start in the 11 because he was in form last year as well, and he did well in T10 leagues, and he has been doing the other leagues also pretty well. Right now, an injury issue has been one of the concerns for Dwayne Bravo. So also Chris Jordan can rightly walk into that squad, replacement for Shardul Thakur, offers similar kind of bowling, and also with the bat he can contribute in the lower end with 15-20 runs. So that helps CSK's balance. Alongside that, Adam Milne and one more. I think that's it. I think 11 players are almost filled over there. That'll be probably the starting 11 of CSK going ahead. Sanjeev, you can take that question. Take it. We can go with RCB next. I think people want to know about RCB. Maybe you can start with that.
Everybody wants to know about RCB, but how much do I want to talk about them is the real question. Very interesting though, RCB for me. Let me quickly get my page right there. So I'll start with my RCB 11 first. Paf opens without a question. I'm seeing Virat Kohli opening because Paf, of course, he put the bat balls away, but it's better that he takes his time a little because he digs deep. And and Virat Kohli has been amazing in a couple of seasons. But some of the seasons he takes his time and he has shown some kind of limitation to his batting. Paf although hasn't. Number 3, slightly interesting for me. I probably go with Suyash Prabhudesai because I feel that's slightly lacking over there, and maybe Suyash Prabhudesai can provide something different this time, or at least he should. And maybe the fact that they've showed some more trust in him from last year, I probably feel that they trust him and they want him to take up some kind of responsibility. Number 4, Maxwell, no brainer. Karthik comes in at 5. I think he'll keep wickets. Number 6 is I have some doubts, but I think Sherpain Rutherford should play. But if he does, I probably see Hazelwood missing out.
Yeah.
So number 6 is either Sherpain Rutherford, but if they want Hazelwood to play, then Shahbaz Ahmed is probably he's going to be the best replacement. Number 6. Number 7 is going to be Anuj Rawat for me.
Oh, number 7.
Number 7.
Yes. Yeah. I mean that's where he fits in, and it's a different role than what he does. But I don't think they should be reaching number 7 with that kind of batting. But if they do, I think, I don't know, but I feel Anuj Rawat can do something different there. Number 8, Hershel Patil. My team is slightly different. I've gone with what I feel the team is going to play rather than what I would want to play. But number 9, like I said, if Rutherford plays, then Karan Sharma has to come in. But if Shahbaz Ahmed is playing, then Hazelwood is a no-brainer for me. I end with Siraj and Berendorf. I see Berendorf doing something like a Deepak Chahar here, bowling 3 overs up front. Lanky bowler, has good pace, can bowl a very decent outswinger. He's doubled a few batsmen when he's played for Mumbai Indians before. I feel this could be the 11 they play, or the most ideal 11. Suyash Prabhudesai and Anuj Rawat probably for my team come as a slight surprise, but I see both of them playing, and you have so much of experience in this team, so much of T20 matches. I think they can accommodate 2 newcomers. Bowling looks really sorted. Not the biggest names in T20 cricket, but whenever they've got the opportunity, they've done very well. And RCB, for the first time, I feel have a decent bowling lineup, and they've not just gone bonkers on one player. But so I feel it's decent. Siraj has stepped up. Siraj has stepped up from last season at least. I just hope it doesn't slip back down. But that's RCB 11 for me.
Yeah, wait. So what would you do if Kohli comes one down? Actually,
Then actually I could see Anuj Rawat opening. Then Suyash Prabhudesai doesn't play for me.
I have a different the right thing. I agree with AVK Madam MX because
Lomror can be a better option.
Lomror, they're bottom for a reason, I believe, and I've been following him very closely in domestic circuit as well. He's a fierce striker of the ball, especially on spin bowling. He can come at number 5 for you, number 6. He can also bat anywhere. He can also offer with the ball. So my 11, I'll just put it up. Then Jiren, you can take over from there. I think Virat Kohli Faf opens. At number three, I'll have a surprising pick. I'll have Shahbaz Ahmed batting at number three, just because of the fact that he bats number four for Bengal and number five for Bengal. At number four, I'll have Maxwell. Number five is Lomrol and Dinesh Karthik at number six. Now, Dinesh Karthik at number six, just because of what he can offer, because he prefers batting in that position as well. Or else, if Shahbaz Ahmed doesn't bat in number three, I'll have Suyash Prabhudesh at number three, because he's also an all 360-degree player. He can smother the spin well. He can actually play pace very well. If you can go check out some of his videos, and if you've been following him very closely for Goa, he's been the best player for Goa. And undisputably, because he has taken the attacks, he has helped Goa to finish at very higher scores in domestic cricket, especially inside Mustaq. So I believe Suyash Prabhudesh can bat anywhere in the batting order, and I would prefer him to see at number three as well, just because you can give him that bank, saying that, see, you will get 14 games, don't worry, go express yourself. And I would consider Suyash Prabhudesh better than Anuj Rawat as well, because of the skill sets he possesses in T20 cricket. So, and he can offer you with the ball. He's an all rounder. So you have Anuj Rawat if you have Suyash Prabhudesh at three, Maxwell at four, five Mahipal Lomror, Dinesh Karthik six, Shahbaz Ahmed seven. Then you can have your Manindu Asaranga, Hershel Patil, Siraj, and Hazelwood. So that is actually 32 overs bank right there. 32 overs all, except maybe if you include Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis, because they also consider themselves to ball. You have 40 overs in the bank, close to 40 overs in the bank. If at all that circumstance arises, I'm sure with 32 overs in the bank, you don't need such circumstance. So that looks like a team which has so many all rounders. If at all, if they feel that middle order is weak, then you can probably cut short on Vanindu Asaranga. I know they played big bucks for him, and bring in someone like Anishwar Gautam. Anishwar Gautam has made a lot of noises in the under 19 level, also in domestic circuit in Karnataka. He's a very good left arm spinner. I think people should watch out for this guy just because of what he can possess with his skill set, and he can also bat well. So this will be my 11, and I see them lack quite a bit in the lower middle order, because if you look at a team like Mumbai, Chennai, Lucknow, and also other teams, Rajasthan, where they've been very strong with their lower middle order, even Punjab, for example. And that's where probably RCB might finish a little less than what other teams would do. But that's been the problem with RCB historically, right? And number six, number seven, where they do not have power hitters. For Mumbai, you have a Pollard, Tim David now. Before, for Mumbai, you had a Hardik Pollard. So that's where probably RCB lacks. Whether can they get to 180s, 190s consistently from probably 130 for 4, 130 for 5, and whether can they get 50 runs in last 3 overs, 50 runs in last 4 overs. So that will totally depend on Dinesh Karthik, and also on a youngster like Mahipal Lomror alongside Shahbaz Ahmed. I don't think they are yet there in IPL level to take down bowlers of international quality, but it'll be very interesting to see. That's where probably RCB lacks a huge hole for them there. So if at all it's a huge hole, then they'll have to definitely bring in someone like Sherfin Rutherford. They will have no option. I'm quite surprised that they went for David Willey. He probably offers a little different than other bowlers. He can bat. He can bat a little bit. Yesterday we did discuss about David Willey in our show as well, about how much teams will be decided to go for that guy, because he can offer with the bat. And if you look at it in T20 Blast back in England, he opens the batting for them. So I would be very surprised if RCB opens with David Willey as well. And if they have a cut shot on someone like Hazelwood, saying, okay, David Willey, you open the batting, and Virat Kohli will bat at number 3, then that also depends that that also gives them a good depth in their batting. So that is another option which RCB can try. A good pinch hitter like Narayan and David Willey, because he has an experience of playing there in T20 Blast, and he's also done it in the 100 So that's the kind of skills that David Willey brings, and he can also pick up wickets up front. Like you mentioned, Behrendorff and David Willey are very similar kind of block bowlers, right? They can both ball up front and also in the dead, and also through the middle overs. So I would say it's a 7 out of 10 kind of a team. Maybe can make it top 4, or maybe we'll have a disastrous season. So that's the kind of levels where RCB stand right now. I cannot completely assure the fans that they are a team which looks very promising, but in utility wise, they look like a very good team. They look like more of the New Zealand kind of a team, where everybody can chip in at some stage or the other. And if they all chip in at one time, then definitely they look very well in the IPL. Jen, you can take on.
I think RCB is one of those, stories which you want to come to fruition finally, and you want them to lift an IPL. I think for me, this is a very interesting auction that they've had. They had a pretty silent day today until the final few hours, and it was kind of odd for them to not bid for a lot of players we expected them to. But I think one of the biggest gains they've had in this auction is Faf du Plessis. They wanted someone. They probably went after someone like David Warner. That's what we expected. They couldn't get him. Faf is definitely one of the best players in his age group. He's probably one of the best batsmen, even if you consider the youngsters there. And he is a, as a CSK fan, it hurts me to say he's definitely one of the best buys, and we're gonna miss him. But Faf and Kohli again opens for me. Interesting pick here for me is Anuj Rawat. I think many of you placed him in the lower order. I'm just gonna let him go at number 3 and ask him to just go crazy. Do what you want to do. Because I'm placing him between Virat Kohli and Glenn Maxwell. So if he has a bad start and he's struggling, there's either Virat Kohli on the other end who's going to
Don't you
control
think it's
the
better for him
momentum.
to open then? Just go and blaze.
The
Go
reason
have a
why I
good
don't want him to
season.
open is because I want Virat Kohli of 2016. That's the only reason why I don't want him to open, because I feel Virat Kohli of 2016
See,
is.
I have a very interesting point there. When Virat Kohli opened back in 2016 in his middle order, he had a KL Rahul, Shane Watson, Travis Head. And that's like a very good middle order. And alongside AB de Villiers, why are we forgetting him? So that's like a crazy top six, right? He could still play that. But now Virat Kohli opening actually weakens their top order, top middle order, I would say, because if Virat Kohli comes at number 3, it helps them, it solidifies it. Maybe RCB can probably try that option because if Virat Kohli falls early, then they'll have to rely on Anuj Rawat to build on from there. Shrikar Bharadwaj, I felt was a very good number 3 for RCB last season, and probably they could have still invested back in him, and they did not. I'm quite surprised by that. That's where I felt Anuj Rawat is not the right investment because Shrikar Bharat went for 2.6 crores and they went for 3.6 crores for Anuj Rawat, who has played 2 matches in IPL and has got out for duck in both the matches and who strikes about at 122 in domestic cricket. So very surprised with the Anuj Rawat pick, and they'll not go for someone like Vishnu Vinod as well. Yesterday we discussed the same thing. So you can carry on from there.
Yeah, for me, I think what I'm done with Anuj Radhavat is the fact that I'm not making him face any of those new ball spells unless, of course, I trust that Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis will carry on for 4 overs. I mean, obviously that is an expectation you have from someone of their level, and I'm sandwiching Anuj Rawat between someone like a Glenn Maxwell and Virat Kohli to the fact that if he does not play well, if he has that initial hiccups, they both can guide him. So that's why I'm throwing him up there. I'm going to ask him to just go with the flow, do what you want to do. We are okay if you give away your wicket. And since RCB is invested in him, there has to be some thought process that has gone into, and that is the reason why I go there. And then for me, Dinesh Karthik at number 5, because I feel from there he can control the game, and that is another interesting pick. I feel none of you all went for that, but again, Dinesh Karthik for me at number 5, and the reason for that is because I want Mahipal Lomror to come at number 6. And
Okay.
again, the reason for that is again the fact that when he comes into bat, on the best, I mean, probably you will have someone like either someone like Faf du Plessis if he's playing really well, or you'll have someone like Glenn Maxwell or Dinesh Karthik on strike. So again, that gives him the time to settle down. He's not had a very good strike rate in IPL, but he's someone at least who can rotate the strike and give the strike to Dinesh Karthik or Glenn Maxwell to let them do their thing. For me, Vanadu Hasaranga is coming in after Lomror because again, I probably wouldn't have taken him in the team, but the fact that he is being paid 10 crores, you cannot keep him on the bench. That is
Yeah.
just bad business. So that's where he comes in. He has some hitting quality still to prove in IPL yet. He just played 2 matches, so we cannot judge him how well he's going to play. Then I'm going to go with another interesting pick, that is Karan Sharma. And the reason why I do that is because he's an able bat. And with
I
someone
thought
like
because
him,
he's a lucky charm. That's why you bought him in the
yes,
team.
he's gone to CSK is one.
The guy
He's
has
gone
won
to
5 IPL
Sunrise is
trophies, I
one.
think, if I'm not wrong, right?
And I don't think RCB is going to take that for granted. That team is the last team to take anything of that sort for granted.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone
Remember
to
Dan
Sunrisers is
Christie?
one. He's gone to CSK is one. And I
Yeah.
don't. He's gone to
He's
Mumbai
gone to
is one.
Sunrisers. He's gone to Mumbai.
One is
He's
Sunrisers.
won 2 with
And this was,
Sunrisers. He's won 2
and
with
if I'm not
Mumbai,
wrong,
and he's won 1 with Sunrisers. He's one of the most. He's one of the players in the IPL history to have most number of IPL cups. So let's give it to him for that.
so yeah, I mean, and the
Fair.
reason why I go for him is because again, he's someone who can bat, and many people forget that he's played some great innings. So if Mahipal Lomror fails, you might have a Karan Sharma come in, tong 2 sixes, and of the last 2 balls, and suddenly give them that boost. And another thing with him is he's quicker through the air. He's flat. He doesn't turn the ball a lot, but he could be someone who could make sure that runs are not flowing on one
Yeah,
end and
yeah.
make it easier for someone like like force the batsman to go after someone like Harsaranga, making him more effective. Then I've gone for Mohammad Siraj, which is an obvious pick, and another interesting pick for me is
Hershel
Siddharth
Patil
Kaul.
is not there in your 11, is it?
Uh, Hershel Patel and Siddharth Kaul is sort of a mixture here because I feel like Hershel Patel might be someone who might have like batsmen might go easy on him this time around because he's a much more bigger name, and we've seen that happen to a lot of great auction players. So I've sort of gone with a toss up. So if it's a good pitch where hit the deck ballers might help, like somewhere like Wankhede, where I feel Siddharth Kaul could do well on his day, and
Mm.
and there's an interesting connect between Siddharth Kaul and Virat Kohli. Siddharth Kaul is the reason why Virat Kohli is an under 19 captain, winning captain. So that is something again
Yeah,
we
yeah.
forget. He's done extremely well in IPL for
They
me. For
actually
someone
reunite after
of his
13
stature,
years.
he's done
Mm.
really well in IPL. He's flown under the radar a lot with
Yeah,
he's been part of some extremely good bowling lineup. So that is why I feel like Siddharth Kaul, you will see him feature a lot if Harshal Patel fails. And
yeah,
I feel the fact that it's happening in Wankhede, you might see Harshal Patel not do as well as he did last time.
yeah.
The final pick is obviously Josh Hazelwood. I think, especially after his previous innings, I mean, the series he's having, they will look at him as a death bowler as well, especially given
Mm.
the fact that RCB doesn't have another option.
Yeah. I mean,
Correct.
that question is very good from AVK Madam X, because he says Suresh Raina was a good option for number three, an experienced player. He could handle the pressure. That's something actually we did talk about, right? Why aren't teams going for Suresh Raina? Is it just because he did not have one good? He had a very poor 2021 IPL, or is it because he has not played any cricket at all since last match he played in the IPL? These could be two possible reasons. And
I
is Suresh?
think I think with option number three, I don't think you can take a Suresh Raina and make him sit on the bench. I think it'll be very tough for teams to get someone like him and make him on the bench. Second of all, talking about RCB particularly, experience. I don't think that's not something they lack. You have Faf and Virat Kohli, so that's a lot of T20 games between them. You have Maxwell, got T20 master. Dinesh Karthik's been playing mostly T20s the last couple of years. So there's one, two, three, four, five, and four of them have a lot of T20 experience behind them. You've gone with someone like a Suyash for number three because, of course, you need to have someone in a couple of years who can take some kind of responsibility. You spoke about Lomro. If playing Ryan, he has to be number three, number four at best. But I mean, below that, there's no use. And I think one, two, four, and five are fixed for RCB. So specifically in this team, I don't think he fits. But probably maybe a team like Mumbai Indians would have gone. Then probably they could probably do with a left-hander at number three.
Hmm.
But I think it'll be very tough for someone like a Rohit Sharma to get Raina and make him sit on the bench. Because with the IPL, there's a lot to do with even media and some public criticism, and people try to avoid that also. So I
Yeah.
feel I no I'm actually pretty bummed that Mr. IPL. I thought Chennai would actually go for him in the latter part of the auction, saying that okay, he's been because they did go for 8 out of the 9 players yesterday. Who have been a part of that winning team, and so I really thought that probably they will go for him today, and but they didn't. And I don't know, maybe the teams know something that we don't. Also, I'll just take on Jerin. You spoke about Hasranga being paying a little short of 11 crores and, be warming the bench, and that's bad business. I think the franchisee has been into some poor business decisions on and off the field. I even don't think Harshal Patel is the greatest of buys for that kind of amount. A little short of 22 crores between the two. If both of them play, like, I mean, if both of them play, any team with good batting, I think that's probably 80 runs in 8 overs. That I mean, I really don't think this. The 9, 10, 11 seem very settled to me with maybe a Hazelwood, Siraj and Berendorf, or even Karan Sharma, Siraj and Berendorf. But
Yeah.
I feel, but I feel teams will look. I mean, I don't know. For the first time, RCB looks pretty settled with their batting. Virat Kohli just a tad bit off color, but I'm actually excited for Virat Kohli. I want to see how he plays. The
Hmm.
captaincy has been ripped off of him, and of course, it doesn't look in the strongest of mindsets. And even
Yeah.
back at RCB, I somewhere deep inside feel that the RCB management is trying to pull his leg and say, "Come on, boss, you have to be a captain now." I mean, Faf is the only viable option I see here,
Hmm.
or else. I mean, somewhere down there they're really pushing for Virat Kohli, and they're like, come on,
And
maybe
I
a
won't be
season more,
surprised.
maybe 2 seasons more. Yeah, I will not be surprised either. And I feel Virat Kohli has to get back into his skin, and he has to be that captain to be the player that he has been for the last couple of years. Virat Kohli playing
And
under somebody has been really. I mean, I'm not enjoying it as much.
Yeah, I think Virat Kohli should be the captain of this team as well. Just looking at what he can bring to the table, and he is, last two seasons they had recently well, they had done recently well. They finished third both the times, right? So I think having another season with him, and where they've been doing consistently well, they can probably go on with him and say, "See, Virat, we're giving you this squad. Give it a try. Give for a season or more. We've built a squad now. We've got Faf, who's probably 37, 38. We do not know that how long will he continue in international cricket or just in the league circuit. Probably can continue for a good 2 years. But having Virat there, the brand value, everything goes up, right? You definitely want someone of his
Absolutely.
nature. So I think here more than it's totally in contrast to Indian team where he has been stripped of the captaincy. Here, the owners will be behind him to captain, especially this franchise team. And I think he could do a good job captaining these lads because he knows these lads, most of them. He is captain Siddharth Kaul, as Jen rightly mentioned. And most of these players have played under Virat Kohli at some stage or the other. And most of these players look up to him. And most of these players want to come into this team because of this figure in the team. So it only makes sense that he captains the team. Or else it's Faf du Plessis, who's a very good captain. He's done well across leagues. And one we have a question: will RCB have a promising lineup? They looks like they will have. It also depends on how good a season someone like Virat Kohli will have. At the same time, how good they can finish matches well. If Suresh Prabhudesha plays as a finisher, if he plays a number 6, number 7, can he finish well? For example, Dinesh Karthik, does he have a good season? Now you have a big hole to fill in ABD Villiers. Last 10 years, matches which seem lost, ABD Villiers used to pull it off for them. He used to win at least minimum of 4 games a season, single-handedly. So that's a big miss for RCB. So if they have a middle order collapse, it goes downhill for them very bad now. So there's a big question up for RCB management to answer and also for the team to step up as well. So that's a big hole for them. Let's go to the next team. We've spent a lot of time discussing on RCB actually.
Yep. What could be like? What is the next team that you would like to take on?
Let's take Mumbai Indians.
Yeah, sure. So, what do you guys think on Mumbai Indians? Actually, they made some, buys. Actually, going in that, they had that 1 hour, that 1 hour that they made all those buys actually, which they actually took on that, Timol Mills. They got Tim David. It all came in that 1 hour that they actually took to get all those buys. And so, actually, if you're looking at my probable 11, I would say Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, and number 3, I would go for Anmol Singh. And
True.
number 4, Surya Kumar Yadav, then Tim David, Pollard, and Dan Sams, and obviously maybe Murugan Ashwin or Mayank Markande, and Jasprit Bumrah, Timol Mills, and maybe a bowler like Sanjay Yadav.
Very, very interesting. I'll just Rohit and Ishan Kishan are definitely Ishan Kishan will be wearing the gloves. I would love to see a Dewal Brevis at number 3. They've paid a good amount of
If
price
you
for
can
him.
answer that question, it'll be good. When will IPL
When will
start?
the IPL start? Any approx idea? I think it starts in the first week of April this time. It'll be
April,
longer. It's
April,
usually
Yeah,
second of
yeah,
I've heard
and,
it's
and it's
second of
usually
April.
52 days in length. And now with about 25% increase in the number of teams, probably it'll take about maybe 2 weeks more. It'll be interesting though.
Like,
I
what do you
mean,
guys think the format of the IPL is going to be? Is it going to be like 2011 where they make two groups, and or is it going to be like it's
no.
going to continue? Because that's
No,
going to
I
take
think they
94
won't make two
games.
groups. I don't
94
think they'll
games
make
is a
two.
lot. What do you guys
I
think?
don't think they'll make two groups. They'll have multiple games happening at the same time. Like we had on the last day of the IPL last year. Sunrisers played Mumbai and we saw another team play another
Yeah,
team as
that
well.
was at the same time actually.
It
Same
was
time
just a
only.
test and it worked well. So I think you'll have a simultaneous game like what you have in football. Yeah, Sanjit, you can carry on from where you left off.
Just taking it from what you said, if all the matches are going to happen in the same state, then it's going to be it's going to be a little messy in that case. Because unlike football, I mean, I'm hoping unlike football, you need a lot more time to prepare the pitches. I mean, you can't play on that pitch and then again right after. It needs a couple of days. So it'll be a little hodgepodge playing. I mean, playing 2 games on the same day. I'll just go ahead with the Mumbai Indians team as you were talking about. I'm going for number 3 with Deval Brevis. Technically very sound. I've shown my affection for him over and over in the last couple of episodes. Surya Kumar Yadav, probably one of the best players of spin, sweeps the ball really well. Tim David. I really wonder how many people have actually seen him bat, or how many people have actually seen him hit the ball. I don't think many people in India have. I don't know how many of them following other tournaments.
I've been following
Pollard.
PSC. Fierce hitter.
Oh,
Fierce hitter.
I
He's
mean,
probably the
I,
biggest hitter of the ball in IPL right now. He has a strike rate of 175. Let's just be
I
honest.
mean, that's he hit about 70 runs in 28 balls now, 29 balls. I actually
Yeah.
got two of my friends messaging me today. Hey, what happened to your team, man? Going 8 crores for a Singapore player. I said, wait till they play RCB. You'll know. Number 6, easily,
Was
Karan
that to
Pollard,
an
the greatest
RCB
number
fan?
6. Sorry?
Was that to an RCB fan?
I mean, that's to every fan. I've noticed this thing. Anybody who doesn't support Mumbai practically hates Mumbai Indians and their fans. And I mean, I know myself, so I mean, I justify it. I expect your opinion. But well, going ahead, number 6 for me, Karan Pollard, the greatest number 6, at least in terms of batting. And number 7, a little interesting for me. I've tried to go with Tilak Verma.
Oh
Is that
yeah.
yeah.
Huge hype.
I
Huge hype.
mean, not yeah, not I mean, not a plethora of matches behind him, but he
Yeah.
hits the ball. He hits it well. And
Yeah.
coming in after Pollard, Tim David, terrific hitter. Pollard, terrific hitter. Surya, Ishan, and Rohit, when they are in, I mean, no bowler is good enough. My spinner, I probably have only two options between Markande and Murugan Ashwin. Murugan Ashwin, although seems like he can contain a little bit more. My number 9 for me is a toss up between Basil Thampi and Unadkat. Basil Thampi slightly better on pace, and I like his action. A little work required, but let's see what happens in the 2 months. But maybe Unadkat will start over him. Timal Mills and Riley Meredith. That's my toss up for number 10. Riley Meredith bowls above 140 consistently, but Timal Mills, I mean, has been playing a lot of cricket. He's been injury free. That's a little rare. I mean, I understand he's not had that kind of stress on him either. He plays the 100, so I mean, he knows how to save runs, and he's been pretty decent at that too. Number 11, without a question, Bumrah. One of Timal Mills and Meredith Riley, of course, they're not going to be seen from next season. Hopefully, if Jafra doesn't act up to some other kind of mischief. But I mean, this team looks settled. The only thing I feel is maybe Dewal Brevis, maybe or maybe not. But I would love to see him as a fan, as somebody who's followed under 19 cricket. He's a very clean striker of the ball.
Yeah.
With Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma, and between Surya and Tim David, he fits just perfectly. And I'll be okay if he has like 14 matches and scores about 200 runs in those 14 matches. It really wouldn't bother me that much. I think it's an investment looking over 10 seasons going ahead. I think very interesting. This team, I was actually pretty disappointed yesterday. I checked my BP, it was 20 more than what it should have been. But today, I'm maybe the spin department is a little concern for me. But let's
Yes,
face
again.
it, they went with Rahul Chahar for the last 3 years and it wasn't the biggest of problems. So I think I'm okay. But Bumrah had Trent Bolt, and that is a big plus going ahead. Now
So
there
no
is no
Dan
Trent Bolt.
Sams, no Dan Sams for you.
No Daryl Mitchell for me. I mean, for me, Tim David and Pollard walk right in. One of Meredith and Timal Mills. I'd rather go with Deval Brevis rather than Daniel Sams.
In spin department, I think you can still invest in someone like I think Arshad Khan is a spinner, if I'm not wrong. No,
In
I know
what role?
you
Dan
have Fabian
Markante.
Allen actually. Fabian Allen is not a bad option at all.
He's a
Just
power
looking
hitter
at what
actually.
he can bring into the field just with a bad ball on the field. Fabian Allen can play maybe instead of one of those foreign pieces and probably give that extra leeway.
I think he
Play.
might actually. I
Actually,
actually think
might
he
be
might.
match
I
winner,
actually don't
isn't
think
it?
Brevis will start. I think Fabian Allen will be playing slightly maybe lower down the order. Never know, might just come in at 4 also, and Surya goes at number 3. But then, I mean, I would love to have Leggy. I would like Murugan Ashwin to play. Slightly more tougher to hit the Wankhede, smaller ground. The pitch has practically nothing to offer. And Murugan Ashwin's been pretty decent. So, I mean, maybe, because batting is not a problem for this team. So, just maybe. But I don't know. Jaren, your
But this is
views?
a different Mumbai side altogether. It is not the usual Mumbai side, Pollard, Pandya. So that's where Mumbai's strength
No,
was, right? You got three IPLs just with this core strength. But over the years, we have seen 2015, 2013, they're able to manage to win IPLs with different squads as well. Whenever you feel like they
Absolutely.
cannot, they can actually pull it up and win it. And that's when I feel next year, maybe not this year, next year with the addition of Jofra, you have almost how many overs? 8 overs absolutely of hostile pace. And Timol Mills Jofra and Bumrah is 12 overs of hostile pace, and that's going to be tough for all the batsmen. And in their death, I don't know it's how many runs are they going to even concede. So it's going to look like a 16-over game, and from there on, it's going to be like okay, 20 run mil gaya to mil gaya, ठीक है हम लेंगे. So it's that kind of thing. Or else Bumrah and Jofra should have a very bad day. I have only seen them both getting on-started by one man, and that guy is no more there in the IPL. It was ABD Williams. Only ABD Williams was able to take on these both. So that's absolutely gone as well. So I don't know if there'll be another batsman who can really come and take on these two players. So, yeah.
Yep. Jaren, if you want
No,
to talk about
for
your guess.
me, what worries about Mumbai is the fact that Mumbai has always had this one strategy where they've had a great Indian core batting, and the spinners have never bothered them because Wankhede is pretty much, other than Harbhajan Singh, you've not seen many spinners do well at Wankhede, and Harbhajan Singh is one of a kind, one of a generation bowler, so you don't expect that kind of performance from everyone. For me, what worries me is their Indian batting core. The fact that aside from Rohit Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, I don't see any candidate for that as of now. You never know in the future. Like someone like a Tilak Verma is a very interesting prospect. But for me, I felt this. Mumbai Indians was one of the teams which could have probably gone after Suresh Raina and tried that experiment they tried with Yuvraj Singh. It could have been possible for them because I felt Suresh Raina would fit in with that team. Come after Suryakumar Yadav maybe or come before Suryakumar Yadav because I felt Suresh Raina fits in this team for me. But that could be just a CSK fan in me speaking. But my 11, the way it starts is obviously Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan. And I think Mumbai losing Quinton de Kock was a blessing in disguise, if at all if at all they were going after Quinton de Kock in the first place. The reason I feel that is because now Ishan Kishan's slot is completely settled. He's their
Yeah.
opening wicket keeper, and he's an Indian wicket keeper. So, and that's the reason why I think Joy Bhattacharya mentioned this in the Crickbus review, where he said they must have saved 16 crore for him, and they have saved actually 75 lakhs. And he is a great buy. He is definitely a future captain candidate. He is one of their marquee players, or at least in the making. And that is why I feel someone like, especially with him batting up the order, Rohit Sharma can take his time and then take the carnage once Ishan Kishan is tired.
Yeah.
But moving on, Suryakumar Yadav makes my number 3,
You want to
which is
take
again
that
a
question
no-brainer.
about Case Ahmed?
Uh, for me, I think for me, KS Ahmed is not gone is because again the foreign spinner jinx that we have in India. IPL teams don't like foreign spinners a lot because we have a treasure trove of spinners in our country. Adil Rashid was never going to be sold. I think he had one opportunity in the previous IPL to actually show what he's all about, and
Yeah.
him not being able to take that opportunity. Same goes with Adam Zampa. Those are the two reasons why I feel teams do not go for him.
I think
Another reason is
foreign spinners, there's a thing like if they can offer with the bat, it becomes even more an advantage. Or unless your name is
or else
Rashid,
you have to be Sunil
not
Narayan.
a stronger, potent option. That's why Vanu Asanka went for the money he did. If you're a very good foreign spinner, and if you can offer with the bat, Tabrez Shamsi and Adil Rashid both would have gone 10 crore plus. But they both don't. That's why they've gone unsold.
Or else you should be as frugal as an Imran Tahir, where you're exceptionally good and you're not giving any runs. Or you should be a Sunil Narayan, where you don't know what's coming out of the hand. Or else you have no hope in IPL as a foreign spinner. It's very difficult. And the only way you can get through, and especially the fact that it's a mega auction, I don't think you have any chance to get into most IPL teams. As Sanjay spoke earlier, the purses were very much more tighter. So that makes it even more difficult for a foreign spinner. And that's the reason why Kes Ahmed is someone I rate very highly. He has got that bouncer as well, which is something that most spinners are very scared to ball. But again, in an IPL auction, a mega auction, I don't think he fits. That's the reason why for me. Moving on from what I have an interesting pick for number 4, and this is something I felt was forced for me. Tilak Verma opens for Andhra Pradesh, if I'm not wrong, and he's got some decent striking, and he's a talent whom they can nurture in. And I feel someone who's an opener is not fit for a number 7, number 6, because that ruins his career. That like I felt someone like Virat Kohli, for instance, struggled with RCB when he was a number 7, number 6 batsman. The moment you pushed him up the order, he showed what he could do, and that could be Tilak Verma for you. I'm not banking on Tilak Verma, but I'm just putting him in there because I feel with someone like Pollard to follow. And the reason I'm putting Pollard at number 5 is because you give him your time, you give him the control of the innings from the middle over itself, a kind of innings, the kind of role that MS Dhoni plays for CSK. You give it to him, and he can do that role really well. He's not the Pollard whom like teams wanted to come in with 13 overs left. Now a Pollard who's coming in with 13 overs left is more dangerous than a Pollard which is coming in 5 overs left. So that's why I go with him at number 5. Fable Allen comes in because of his sheer, blind striking ability, and he's an excellent spinner for a place like Wankhede. He can keep things tight, but obviously with someone like, I mean, again, he won't be my first pick, but because I'm forced here once again, Mumbai is not keen on spending a lot of money on spinners unless they provide with the bat. For me, Jaydev Unadkat comes in, and here's where I think it gets interesting. What for me is Jaydev Unadkat is going to be a very important player for Mumbai, and the reason I feel is the role that he gets. If they look at someone like Jaydev Unadkat as a new ball bowler who comes in and he balls 4 overs in the straight slot, then they go for someone like Taimil Mills at the death with Jasprit Bumrah. But if they're looking at someone like just Jaydev Unadkat to save runs at the end, like how Pune Super Giants looked at him, then someone like Riley Meredith comes in and who gets the same role. So that is how I look at it, and that's my toss-up between the three of them. Another debate that we had is between Mayank Markanday and Murugan Ashwin. For me, the one thing that settles it is the fact that Murugan Ashwin is 31 and Mayank Markanday is 24. So Mayank Markanday, especially with his, the skills that I see in him, he's someone who's going to grow exponentially. And Rohit Sharma is someone who can use those kind of leg spinners. The kind of tossy leg spinners. I'm sorry.
Guy's an India player. He has played for India.
Yeah, he's an India player. He's a prospect as well. And the fact that he has an amazing googly. I mean, Murugan Ashwin, nothing to take away from him. He has a very quick googly that comes in really sharply in. But for me, Mayank Markanday has 7 more years ahead of Murugan Ashwin. That's the only reason why he fits in. And obviously, Jasprit Bumrah. There's no say to that. He fits in any 11 in any team in the world.
That's strong point. But I think, in my opinion, Sanjay Yadav should play in this 11 as well. I just see Sanjay Yadav playing in this 11. If I would take a call on this 11, I would have Ishan Kishan Rohit opening, and I would have at number 3, as Sanjay rightly mentioned, I would have Devol Bruvis or Suryakumar Yadav. It can switch either way. Number 4, number 3, and number 5 I'll have Pollard, and number 6 Tim David, and number 7 I'll have Sanjay Yadav. Sanjay Yadav has had a terrific season. He's a slow left-arm spinner. He plays for Tamil Nadu. He can offer with the ball, and he's good with the bat as well. So he can be the floater, right? I feel all the good T20 setups, you should have 10 players, and the 11th player can be a player who you can use in your liberty. And that's where I fit in Sanjay Yadav, a player who you can float around depending on the situation and wherever you want to play him. At number 8, I would definitely have someone like Timol Mills for the starters, because he can bat a slight bit, I believe. So Timol Mills will start, and spinning option is definitely an issue for them right now, because if you are going to go for Murugan Ashwin or Markanday, or even for example someone like who else do they have in spin bowling option? I think that's all they have in mainly for spin bowling.
Established players from what I know.
Yeah. So these are the 2 main spinners they will float around with. So, and after that, what you have is Jaydev Unadkat and Basil Thambi. Their tail looks slightly weaker, which probably they might not, which should not actually bother them because of the kind of players they have. But before, what you used to have is you have a Hardik Pandya, Krunal Pandya. So you had probably 8, probably even 12, if you even include Pollard's overs. You had 12 overs in the top 7. But now you have probably Tim David is not an established bowler. So that's why I will have Sanjay Yadav probably who can bowl 4 overs, maximum 4 overs, and other bowlers as well. Like Pollard should again bowl 2 overs every match. So there's a slight imbalance compared to other seasons with Mumbai, and the tail is a little too long compared to other seasons as well. Because whenever you know about Mumbai, the tail is pretty decent, right? You have a Marco Jansen who used to come in, you have a Nathan Coulton who used to come in. So that used to be the strong point, of focal point of Mumbai Indians if you look over the years. But right now you don't have that. You have a tail starting from number 8. That's not the case with most of the other teams in the IPL right now. So that's the only weakness for them what I can pick out. Otherwise, a fierce squad. Once Jofra Archer comes in, that tail only becomes better because he can offer with the bat. So I'm just talking about 2022 season. It looks slightly weak, especially when it comes to number 8, number 9. Otherwise, they're a very potent squad. You know what they can do. And if they're going to play at Wankhede, they're definitely going to relish playing there, because Ishan Kishan has always done well over there. You have Rohit Sharma who loves the bounce over there. And Tim David will fit right well in it, because he's someone who has played in Australia most of his career, and he enjoys playing in bouncy surfaces. And Wankhede, the ball is going to come on to the bat like a dream. So this team looks like a team which is made for Wankhede. And if they all fire the cylinders, then expect them to score 230 on an average. I'm
I
saying on
let me just put this question ahead. I feel Ishan Kishan definitely opens. I think Rohit Sharma is going to make him play just one role. Now, since the India captain, I also see Ishan Kishan somewhere having being a backup opener of some sort. All right. I'm just wondering if Rohit Sharma and management feels that in 3-4-5 with Tim David, Brevis, and Surya is going to be great, but maybe with Diwal Brevis and Tim David, I just feel that maybe the management and the captain feel that's too, with no IPL experience coming in and doing something. I just feel if they promote someone like a Deval Brevis to open with Ishan Kishan and Surya goes at 3 and Rohit comes at 4, if at all he feels that, he can do that number 4 better. Of course, I don't think that's the best decision for Rohit Sharma, the batsman. But I think somewhere in to balance the team, maybe send down Tim David at 6. He and Pollard bat up because now is when you realize.
bat number 6, Tim David.
Yeah, because now is when you realize the importance Hardik Pandya and Krunal Pandya had. A lot of people last couple of years always argued why Krunal Pandya went for 8.8 crores where he's not a hard-hitting batsman or not the best of spinners. This is where, because he can bat decently and he also bowls decently. And now we don't have that. So this is so. So I just wonder that maybe Rohit Sharma feels that he can take on spinners better, which he can. Suryakumar can hit a fast bowler from the word go. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm just wondering whether if that's a possibility. I want to know your views on those.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. The why MI should have gone for Shah Rukh Khan as a finisher. It was a punt between Shah Rukh Khan and Tim David, right? Tim David is
Yeah,
probably more established as a finisher across the leagues, and he's been doing it on a consistent basis. Shah Rukh Khan has done it in 3-4 good innings, but still yet to prove in a big stage of whether can he take on world class bowlers. But whereas Tim David has already done that, and he's right now in the reckoning to make even the Australian squad for the World Cup of 2022. So that's the kind of player which Tim David is. And that's where the punt was, and that's where they went for Tim David. They both went for similar prices, 8 crores and 9 crores. So once you have a Tim David, you cannot go for a Shah Rukh Khan because both offer the same, both offer a little bit with the ball, and both are fierce finishers. But I would rate Tim David slightly ahead of Shah Rukh Khan right now.
absolutely. I'm going for both of them would have been pretty foolish. And I mean, and unlike a few other teams, Mumbai Indians on and off the field make good business decisions. So I feel
Do
this
you
is a
think
good team
Mujib should
actually.
have gone to MI? That's an interesting question.
Mm, I wonder though. I really wonder. Mujib played 7 games in Punjab, so I mean that's of course that's not the best wicket to bat on. But
Yeah.
I mean, although every now and then people have scored good runs there, it's been nice. It's been nice to spin. If the wicket slows down though, how much is Mujib spinning the ball? How much of that mystery is there? Because he's not a fast bowler like Rashid. So I mean, and may not at Wankhede, definitely not. And even for a few other teams, I feel playing in Punjab would have been slightly more different than playing here. If the wicket slows down, is going to be much easier to really hit Mujib out of the park.
I feel IPL now. I think every team is going to have 14 games or even more. So it's a
18,
huge
I guess,
library
right?
for them. So you
Yeah,
can't really judge how wickets are going to be, how these players are going to perform on consistent basis, and it's going to be interesting thing.
Guys,
Yeah,
if I may, I think answering the question about Mujib, the reason why Mujib is not in any of the teams is simply because of the fact that he's first of all he's a foreign spinner once again, the same
yeah,
jinx, and the fact that he's not giving anything with the bat. And if you look at the stats of him in IPL, his strike rate is 22.84, which is like 1 wicket per match. And the fact that he's giving eight, I mean, he's probably giving 32 runs every over with the economy of 8. That is not a good deal on a foreign spinner. If Imran Tahir has much better numbers and he did not get a game for CSK, so you cannot expect someone like Mujibur Rahman to go to a team in a mega auction.
yeah. Very, very good point. Because I felt Mujib was just a one season wonder. Sorry, no disrespect on this guy, but when he came, he had the mystery. When he came from the Under 19 World Cup back in 2018, he had that mystery. He had that arm ball. He had that googly which he used to ball with 2 fingers. I remember still that ball which he balled to Virat Kohli, where he cleaned him up back in Chinnaswamy. So that's what he brought on the table. But once he got found out, I remember when Owen Morgan took him to the cleaners, and many other players too have actually dismantled this guy, and he doesn't look
Absolutely,
like
there was
I
absolutely
think the
probably came at a
issue.
time where people created an atmosphere where they said Afghanistan only produces magic spinners. But then once they realize that no, that's not how it is. Of course, he's bowled some good balls. I will not take that away from him. But once he got Virat Kohli out, how much has Virat Kohli hit him after that?
yeah.
Once he got Rohit Sharma's off stump in the World Cup, how much has Rohit Sharma hit him after that? It's something Indian batsmen struggle a lot with. Even the Indian team, a new spinner from an Akila Dhananjaya, any new bowler for that matter, to a Taskin Ahmed, the first
This
match,
is the
they're
thing.
like
I think the curse
He's like Glenn McGrath's come right into them. But
Yeah.
match number two, it's like that's it. Everybody's an MS Dhoni then.
Ajanta
So it's
Mendes is the
something of
best
that sort.
example, actually.
I
Ajanta
think
Mendes, when he came in the first match, he was
curse
at
for
8
Indian cricket
wickets.
is the curse for Indian cricket is any debutant, any new player completely dominates an Indian cricket team. You see, like a lot of legends of the game have debuted against India and dominated them. So it's pretty much Indian, I don't know, tendency, I suppose. Another thing
You're
about
sending
Mujib
out
is
a
I think
message, right? Any cricketer who wants to make a debut, make against India, because that'll be your best debut, and after that, you're gone for the
After that, you'll be a flop. It's fine. You'll go out for the next few years.
no,
Don't
in fact,
expect.
look at the list of players. I mean, this is completely outside IPL, but if you look at the list of players, you have Joe Root, Kane Williamson, and
Alistair Cook.
Mushfiqur Rahman. Yeah, I mean, you
Alistair
look at
Cook. Michael
Michael Clark. You have such you can make an amazing 11. You can probably make an all legends 11
Faf
of
du Plessis.
players.
Akila
Yeah,
Dhananjaya.
Akila Dhananjaya. I know the list will go
Remember
on.
that
Totally.
game?
I can actually name a few people who I remember playing only with India. I don't remember seeing Matt Renshaw anywhere after he hit a 65 in that opening test.
Not
And
that
everybody was like, oh, Hayden
Dhoni really doesn't play Test cricket at all, but whenever India comes,
at
he
all.
plays Test cricket. Same thing with Sam Curran. Sam Curran was not in Test squad reckoning. Just because India came, he was in the Test squad reckoning. So I think there are some specialist players for every country who they'll reply against India. I think that'll be the case with
Totally.
Mark Jackson. I hope Mark Jackson has a better career, but I think he'll be dominated.
like,
I
but
think
yeah,
so too.
coming
I
to
mean, I
Mujib,
don't see many
for me,
batsmen struggling with that height if the pace is about 130. Uh, the Pakistani bowler comes to mind. I mean, you're 7 feet tall. How much have you remembered? No, everything from the Asia Cup to all the bilateral series was really taken
Well against
apart.
India, though.
I think teams
Yeah.
bring in left arm spinners against India. I mean, left arm fast bowlers against India purposefully.
Yeah.
That's probably the answer why
Yeah.
Sam Curran plays a lot.
I
But
think
coming to
we're
Mujib, I
drifting a
think the
lot
issue
away
with
from
Mujib is,
IPL. We have only covered 4 teams. Let's get back to where we
but we're
where we
exactly at the 1 hour mark. So we're going for a long haul.
yeah. Let's get
Not
to
Another
the
even
issue
half.
next.
with
Yeah, we're not
Mujib,
even half the
the
mark. Come on,
fundamental
Levin.
issue with
Guys,
Mujib
if
is
you want to comment and ask which team do you want us to cover, which team do you want us to cover, you can. Meanwhile, Jaren, you can complete that India point as well.
but I think I'll go back to Mujib and like I love Mujib as a player and I really feel for him. But the issue with Mujib he has like 12 deliveries in his hand and he balls all of them at the wrong length at the wrong time. And you cannot have mystery about yourself when you're bowling everything when the batsmen don't have to expect you to ball anything different, you know. What is the strength of Sunil Narayan is he will give you 5 deliveries of the same kind and then suddenly something new comes up. And that's why Sunil
Yeah.
Narayan is so successful.
Yeah.
You cannot have a mystery about yourself when you're completely open to whatever you have in your kitty. So that's what's the problem with Muji. Probably it's the young age. I mean, he's played a lot, but probably that someone needs to sit him down and let him know that this is how you deal with. So it's probably a lack of mentor. But as of now, Mujib is not fit for IPL, I feel, which is very harsh on him. He's performed really well in some of the matches.
True that. I feel he had a decent T20 World Cup as well, but he also faced injuries. Indians were praying that he would play against New Zealand and that do or die for India actually. So yeah, let's get to the next team. I think next team who
Let's
we
go to
have.
Punjab teams.
Let's go to the Punjab Kings, Kings of Punjab. I mean, a very impressive squad. So let's. Saki, you want to read the squad?
Okay, read the squad, not the playing 11. Huh? Okay, let's start off with the squad. It's Mayank Agarwal, Prarak Mankat, Bhanuka Rajapaksha, Shah Rukh Khan, Shikhar Dhawan, Prabsimran Singh, Jitesh Sharma, Johnny Bairstow, Arshdeep Singh, Vitrik Chatterjee, Odin Smith, Sandeep Sharma, Raj Bawa, Nathan Ellis, Vaibhav Arora, Ishan Porel, Harpreet Brar, Rahul Chahar, Kagisa Rapada, Benny Howell, Baltej Singh, Ansh Patel, Liam Livingston, Rishi Dhawan, Arthavat Taide. So, what do you guys think? Like, which was the best buy for them actually? I feel Kagisa Rapada for 9.25 crores was a kind of a steal actually for 9.25 crores, especially when you see Hershel Patel went for a 10.75. Seeing Kagisa Rapada go for 9.25 is it seems very. It's kind of a steal for Punjab Kings. And if I have to read my 11 out for Punjab Kings, I would say Mayank Agarwal, Shikhar Dhawan, Johnny Bairstow, Liam Livingston, Shah Rukh Khan, Rishi Dhawan, Harpreet Brar, and if then maybe I would go for Sandeep Sharma or Raj Bava, then Odin Smith, Kaisar Abada, and Arshdeep Singh.
Solid 11, actually. They have a solid 11, isn't it?
In this time around, actually, they have been much better than what they have had last year. Having Johnny Bairstow and Liam Livingston, the addition of both of them to the squad is actually huge for them. From last year, what we have seen, this is a big turnaround for Punjab. But Punjab being Punjab, hopefully they end up. Me being an RCB fan, I hope they end up somewhere in mid-table.
Oh no.
At least this time they don't have an RCB squad, right? At least this is not the rip-off of an RCB squad, unless their jersey only matches. But yeah, actually, Sanjit, you can take on Punjab.
I'll start with my 11. Dhawan and Mayank Agarwal, no-brainer. I only have questions regarding who the captain will be because nobody, as far as I'm concerned, is really standing out. But I feel the fact that they retained Mayank, I think he is the best choice now.
Sanjit,
But
if I may, what do you think of Shikhar Dhawan? I expect Shikhar Dhawan as the captain. That's my take.
He was captain for SRH into
I think
2014.
Kumble,
He's
Maya,
done a pretty decent job. He has a
Yep.
Punjabi connect. You can just sell him as a Punjabi boy, even though he's from Delhi.
yeah,
He's
he
done a lot of
already gave
Punjabi
us
things by
introduction
now.
in Punjabi. On Instagram, he already gave us introduction in Punjabi. So it's already they feel like he's one of their own. So that's a huge tick box for them in terms of connect with the fans. Great connect with the fans. Great marketing product. Great brand. Shikhar Dhawan.
sorry,
Yeah.
but not a great captain for me, though. I just started saying
That was very
Mayank,
dismissive.
as a Mumbai Indians fan, I think I'm entitled to it now. Post the auction, this is how I'm going to be till, if we lose, then, well, I'll come back to my own. If we don't, then deal with it. Number 3 is a Bairstow for me, but I'm hearing a lot of people say that probably Bairstow should open with Dhawan. And Mayank comes in at number 3. I really don't see how that works, but I think Bairstow will be told to play in only one gear. And I don't think he has much more to offer more than that either. Liam Livingstone, number 4. I don't think a lot of disagreement regarding that. Shah Rukh Khan at number 5. I was actually thinking if Shah Rukh Khan could go at number 6, but I feel we spoke yesterday about him not having match-winning performances. And if he's not going to get a lot of batting, then a person has to get set in because a Pollard is a once-in-a-generation kind of player who can play 15 balls, but he also often started to require a couple of deliveries. Shah Rukh Khan, number 5 for me. Number 6 and 7 is actually Raj Baba and Odin Smith. I feel Raj Baba, it's a nice play, as a good platform for him. This is not the biggest of teams, so I think he will get a lot more opportunity than he would have gotten in a few other teams. Odin Smith, I think, is fair enough to just tonk the ball around. He has done that. Rahul Chahar, number 8 for me, the spinning option. Rabada, number 9. Arshdeep, number 10. And I've gone with Sandeep Sharma just for the initial swing that he brings. I'd like to say, though, Sankey said that Rabada at 9.25 is a steal. One concern is last couple of seasons he has gone. Of course, he's not been an expensive bowler, but people have some have played him out and some have been able to get few runs out of him. I feel Arshdeep has contained a fair amount. He's taken wickets and has contained good amount of runs. Rahul Chahar more often than not has contained the runs. I think a lot will fall on who the number 4 bowler is. I think maybe Sandeep Sharma, Arshdeep, Rabada, and Rahul Chahar. That's probably a very good four options. But a lot depends on Odin Smith and Rajba, which I feel could be much more expensive than what Aradnam I'm assuming. But looks settled to me. Not a lot of problems here.
Doesn't make your 11.
Who doesn't make my 11?
Rishi Dhawan. He's had a really good side Mushtaq Ali actually.
No,
I think it'll be a
not
toss up
not
between
really.
Rishi Dhawan and Raj Baba.
Maybe
Depends. It'll be
because
a
of the
toss up.
all-rounding options that they bring, it might be a toss.
Yeah,
I,
could
I
be.
I actually don't see a lot of competition between Rishi Dhawan and Raj Baba, because if you don't let Raj Baba play now, coming off a very good under 19 World Cup, must be high on confidence, got picked for a good amount, and you get someone like that and make him sit on the bench, he only keeps wondering how long is it going to be before he gets to play. So I see Rishi Dhawan playing, but maybe in place of an Orion Smith kind of player. I don't see Raj Baba missing out. If that happens, as far as I'm concerned, it will not be the best of decisions the team management makes, because I think Raj Baba fits. This is the best team he could have been in to prove himself as a cricketer. So I think he should play all the games. But if Rishi Dhawan plays, I don't think Raj Baba is a replacement. No.
I mean, rightfully for him as well. He's a Punjabi boy, has been there. He's a local guy. He's from Chandigarh as well. So that really fits into the story as well. So another Punjabi connect player, they can sell him as well. Product home and brought up in Punjab. So that fits in why But Rishi Dhawan is also from Himachal Pradesh, and Punjab also kind of represents Himachal Pradesh. If you look at their tag, it's HPJK, right? You have Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, and
Also, Rishi Dhawan's played for Punjab before, and he's been a
Exactly.
decent player for
I
them.
said that
yeah.
when I was on mute. I don't know, I was pointing out. He's played a couple of games for the team. So interesting.
Yeah,
I
Rashid
think
Khan is coming off a good domestic season. He's in the Indian fringes as well. So probably you might see him play. But as Sanjit rightly mentioned, Raj Baba should get the go ahead. Because if you want to groom this guy, Rashid Khan is 32, Raj Baba is 19, 18, and he's got a long future ahead. If you can really groom this guy and if he can be a potent finisher, then it's going to be benefit for only for the country, not just for Punjab. It could be just beneficial for the country because everyone's looking at the fast bowling all rounder, and everybody wherever you go in India, everyone's like, can Venkatesh Iyer do it? Who will be the next Hardik Pandya? If Hardik Pandya can bowl, who's going to do the fast bowling all rounder job? But now you have someone. You have someone who can actually do it. You can potentially invest on this guy and probably get high returns as well. So a good team for him.
Totally.
Yeah,
And it's like, I think iron should be molded when it's hot. Hardik Pandya wasn't born. Hardik Pandya was more made than what he was.
yeah.
His pace was invested upon. He was given a specific role. He was given empty number of chances, and that's when Hardik Pandya became the Hardik Pandya. And if you don't do that to a Raj Baba can potentially be eventually a number four, number five kind of batsman also, than being a number seven kind of batsman. And Punjab in maybe 3 years will need someone of that sort to step up. Dhawan would be going. I mean, Raj Baba can be made into whatever Punjab Kings want him to be.
Yeah.
I think they have the brains, but and I think replacing him with someone like Rishi Dhawan won't be a good thing. I think Raj Baba is, he holds the Horcrux going ahead in all the competitions. He's somebody who can, really take this team forward, and he can be made do things that you want him to do. He has all the potential. It is an interesting team actually. I mean, in terms of performances, they've been pretty decent. The players I'm talking about individually, there's very less holes that I can pick, but I mean, this will be in the best of form. This is a very tough team to beat.
Let's look at the backups. Right? They have a very good starting 11, but let's consider the backups. Who do they have as backups? Let's look into that. Then we can probably analyze the squad better because if you have a starting 11, that's all good. But if you don't have backups in case of injuries, what happens to them? So if you look at opening positions, they have a Rajapaksha. Bhanuka Rajapaksha is a steal at 50 lakhs. I felt he had a very good season with Sri Lanka, and I think he's a very good option. Other than that, Prabh Simran Singh is a good backup opener. Terrific season with Punjab in the domestic circuit. Keeper batsman as well. So that's a good tick in terms of backups. And other than that, in terms of all-round list, you have Rishi Dhawan, if Rishi Dhawan a backup for Raj Baba, direct backup. So that's a huge tick mark. But when it comes to the only area which kind of concerns me is their fast bowling department. They have a Rabada, but is Nathan Ellis a direct switch for Rabada? Doesn't look like. So that's the only concern. If Rabada gets injured, then they're in trouble. If Rabada misses out at all, if South Africa is playing some matches and if Rabada has to miss out at some stage, then that's a huge hole for them. So that's the only concern for me. Other than that, they have a very good starting 11 and better starting 11 than all these years. And do you see Harpreet Brar starting though? He was spent almost close to 4 crore. So,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I feel he'll start, but
I mean, I have Brar on my team, and if
yeah,
you look at his stats, he's pretty much. I feel he pretty much fits, and I'll explain it the reason why. I mean, I'll start with my 11. Uh, Mayank Agarwal and Shikhar Dhawan once again. I think But before I begin, I think my take on Punjab is kind of different from everyone. I feel Punjab is top heavy and bottom heavy. I
Is
feel
it?
I
Yeah.
feel that I feel they have invested in a lot of dark horses, and if and a lot of gambles. If those gambles don't pay off, I see them in trouble. And the reason for that is because they have a lot of replace. They don't have a lot of replacements. So if you don't gambles don't pay off, where do you see your replacements coming from?
That was exactly my point. They don't have a lot of backup. They have a good starting 11
And
on the paper, but if they don't work, for example, Livingston is a gamble, right? If you
big
don't
gamble.
see fire, then you have a huge
Plus,
problem in number four.
another thing that
That's
worries
a good
me
point, which
is the
is
fact that another thing that worries me is the fact that Livingston is someone I see in Indian conditions as an opener because he needs that a hard white ball to get settled. I don't see him, on a sluggish Chennai pitch when 20, I mean 50, I mean 8 to 7. I'm looking long term, not of course in the present IPL, just looking in the long term. And even if you think about it, matches are going to be played in one state. There's going to be a certain wear and tear by the near end of your season, and that's when your spinners are going to come into play. It's India. You're going to be playing in the summer. You're going to have that come in, and where does Liam Livingston actually come in? That's what happened with him in Rajasthan as well. I felt he kind of struggled with the fact that he had to space spinners at such a low pace. The fact that I feel you have someone like Johnny Bairstow once again who's going to come one down, who's been an excellent opener for IPL. I feel that is the reason why I feel Punjab is having a lot of gambles, and if they pay off, well and good. Otherwise, actually see them completely crash and burn, and end up at the eighth spot. I won't be surprised with that. For me, in my team, I
What
have
do
Mayank Agarwal, Shikhar Dhawan, again a top-heavy team. They, I think, will do well. They have the form in the back. Johnny Bairstow, again, I feel he'll have a good IPL. Liam Livingston, I'm a bit doubtful. Shah Rukh Khan will come at number 5 for me because I feel he needs the time. As Sanjeev mentioned, he's not someone who's established. He needs time to establish himself, and that number 5 spot is perfect for him, especially if someone like Johnny Bairstow and Livingston fires. That gives him ample amount of time to settle in. I will go for Rishi Dhawan, and the fact for that is because he's got some excellent stats, even though he has not played in IPL for quite some time. And I feel someone like Raj Bawa, like there are two reasons for that. One, Kings 11 is not at all in a position to test out someone like Raj Bawa. That is my opinion. If it was a team which was of the caliber of, let's say, Rajasthan Royals, who have had such stars in their team, you can test out someone like Raj Bawa. You can throw him in the mix and hope that he does well. My worry is if you throw Raj Bawa in and the whole team isn't performing well, you're expecting a lot more from Raj Bawa, and he's not able to, stand up to that expectation. Under 19 is a huge stage, but IPL is a much bigger stage, and you've seen this happen to a lot of stars, where they're
But
pushed.
that's exactly my question. How much has someone like Rishi Dhawan stepped up? And
I agree. I
and the
mean,
answer is
I
like
won't
really
have Rishi Dhawan
rarely.
play in my 11 if I felt I had more options. I just don't. I just want to make sure. Like for me, Raj Bawa is
Fair.
someone who's a special player. I really, backed him in the auctions as well. But for me, my worry is this Punjab team is not strong enough, and they are not. They have already enough gambles in the basket to throw another one in. And for me, Rishi Dhawan is a safer bet. A gamble definitely, but a safer bet. That's my take on it. I feel Harshdeep. I mean, I feel Brar fits in because of the fact that he's left arm off spin, and sorry, leg spin. If I'm not wrong, is he a leg spin or is it an off spin? I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused there.
Ball
He's
off
an
spin.
off spin, off spin.
He's a left arm off spinner that
Yeah.
gives him he's a spinner, and he can bat a bit, which is the reason why he fits into my team. And then you have Odean Smith because of his batting abilities purely. That's the only reason why I feel he's better than Nathan Ellis. And he's someone who's a tricky customer with the ball. Uh, Chahar is an obvious pick. I think he's the best spinner, but I'm still worried about the fact that Chahar did not do very well with Mumbai when he was a leader of the pack, and here he's having even more of a responsibility. Uh, Kagisa Rapada, once again, there are question marks there as well for me with the fact that the kind of season he had previously. He took a lot of wickets in the final overs, did not take wickets in the power play, and he gave a lot of runs away. This time he's having much more with minus Andrik Nokia. He's having even more responsibility to lead this team's bowling attack. And for me, the only player I felt Sandeep Sharma coming into this lineup is something I really am looking forward to. I rate him very highly. He's reduced in pace a bit, and he kind of got confused between swinging the ball and increasing his pace. I hope he's sorted that out. But other than that, I am kind of skeptical about this Punjab team. I think we've seen a lot of teams like this in IPL where you had a lot of gambles and they all crash and burn together. So I am of the opinion that Kings XI Punjab might not do very well this season at least, because they need a lot more established names in their lineup.
Do you mean this season also?
I mean this and probably another. I have a very good
Am I-
feeling that this is.
I thought this is
you
the
talking
best
about
Punjab
invest-
team they put out. It could be either top heavy, as you rightly mentioned, but if Bairstow also fires, then it's a good season for them. But what do you look at? If you're looking at Punjab in the last couple of years, they had Rahman and Mayank, but no one else. But now you have someone like Bairstow who could probably help them get that top order heavy at least, and at least
People, you see, the
take the
issue
game
is,
deep.
for me, the issue is this becomes the Sunrisers, the Sunrisers of last year. You have three batsmen on top who can do really well. But then do you expect Liam Livingston to actually do the job at number 4? Like, for me, I feel if you have a batsman number 4, you expect him to play till the 16th or the 18th over if he's doing well. Like, that's the role that a lot of number 4 batsmen play in a T20 team, right? You want them to go on till then. But for me, I don't see. I see Liam Livingston holding out, at a long off of a leg spinner or an off spinner who's tricked him with the flight, or the ball is too slow for him to time the ball. He's someone who's really good. Like Wankhede, I think he'll do extremely well because that's his pitch. But do you see him do well, in a Chennai pitch in the next IPL, or probably in the later half of the IPL? You want someone like Liam Livingston to do well throughout the season, because he's your star player. I mean, in this lineup, you see him as a star player, but is he actually worth the money that they've paid for him? Is my question.
Totally.
Maybe he might, because maybe because of his all-round options that he brings to the team. That is the only reason that they might have paid him this much. But still, it's a bit too much for Liam Livingston, the player Liam Livingston. That is the problem. Maybe he might not do well in Chennai. That is a concern for them. Maybe from next season onwards. But as of now, maybe in Wankhede, that might really suit him well. So let's move on to the next team.
Yeah, let's move on to the next team. Which team is it? Gujarat Titans?
I think we missed a question about Moses Enriquez.
Yeah, let's take that.
I
I
think
think
for
Moses
me-
Hendricks.
For me, Moses Enriquez is a better option than Liam Livingston. The
Okay.
reason I say that is because that's a big call. That's a huge call, actually. And the
I
reason I
support
say
it,
that is
actually.
because, for me, I feel he is someone who is a dark horse, but at the same time, he's someone who's established, who's perfect for T20. He's done well. He's had decent matches in the BBL as well. I see him as someone who's someone who can come in, chip in with 2 overs, and at the same time bat. Like, for me, Liam Livingston is not going to ball a lot for them unless things are going really bad with Chahar. That's the only time you see him come, or unless you're playing again in Chennai. For me, Moses Enriquez is someone whom you don't know what he's capable of. He brings a lot to the table. He's a good. For me, I feel Moses Enriquez is a much better pick than Liam Livingston. I'm being too harsh on him, but for me, he hasn't proved himself enough in IPL to earn such a big tag. That's just my opinion.
Interesting.
Yep, let's move on to the next team. Which one? Rajasthan Royals?
Yeah, we can go to Rajasthan Royals. Yeah. Okay, Sanjay, start off with them.
Okay, let's go Rajasthan. I was very impressed with their buys yesterday. I start with my 11 of what I think of them. I think Jaiswal and Butler will open, Padikkal on 3. That's the information I got. Number 4 is going to be Samson. I think he'll be captain. I have doubts on who should turn the gloves, Butler or Samson. I feel Samson twice the fielder Butler is, but I don't think that's really going to happen. But we'll have to see Butler keeping and Samson coming in at number 4. Number 5, Hetman, no brainer. Rian Parag, number 6, he's played there before. He's done pretty decently. He deserves a few more chances at that spot. Ashwin, number 7. Saini at number 8. I have Bolt at 9, and we'll end with Chahal and Prasidh Krishna. I feel bowling is really tight. Going to be tough to score off. Rajasthan a good wicket, and these bowlers. Bolt, not the best bowler on a wicket of that sort. I'm talking about the Rajasthan wicket, not the Bombay wickets. But I mean, if they look for 5 years ahead. This is a young team. This is, of course, you need some good amount of experience too. I can see Ashwin there, and but I feel it has fast bowlers who bowl a genuine pace, a genuine good spinner. All right, the team I support lacks that. Both of them. So I mean, it's important in a T20 game to have a couple of real good fast bowlers and a real quality leg spinner or an off spinner. I have a corner for leg spinners more than off spinners because they get hit slightly lesser. Chahal has amazing control. Riyan Parag can roll over his arm every now and then, if at all required, which I don't see happening. Padikkal, one of my favorite players, favorite openers actually from last year. Butler, tried and tested, proven time and time again. I actually want Sanju Samson to do well after match number 5. He's always played well in a couple of matches in the first 4 or 5 games. But Sanju Samson, number 4, can play spin well, times the ball like magic. Not done enough justice to his talent. He's still, he's like Rohit Sharma till 2013. Has amazing potential, but is still only talented. And Virat Kohli, till 2013, was one of the world's best. Samson has still very talented. I want him to be, take up more responsibility. Has to score runs. Has to score runs. Jaiswal will have a couple of good innings here and there, followed by a couple of bad innings also, because he is slightly susceptible to real good fast bowling. Butler will score more often than not. Padikkal also, I see doing the same. But there will be a couple of days where 2 of the top 3 will falter and he will have to come in early. Has to play well. Has to. I want to see a good. I want to see a 65 in 50 balls kind of match also for him. I also want to see a 80 runs in 40 balls kind of match for him. So I want him to do both those roles, and he is somebody who can really do it. So that's my pick on RR. I would like to know what you all guys have to say.
Who are your foreign options? Your foreign players?
I'm going with Butler, Hetman, Bolt. I think 3 should do it, but I really don't see the need.
Coulter over Saini?
Not really. No, not really. I think the batting's quite sorted to go for someone. The Chinese been very instrumental with the bat too, more often than not. I think Ashwin brings a decent amount of batting in. You can't. I mean, no, not really. I feel Saini has, in a couple of games, proved out to be very, very useful with the ball. Bowls that nice sharp length, goes quicker than Coulter, no question about it. Bolt swings the ball every year. I find Coulter more to be a middle overs kind of bowler who will bowl with spin, and I feel here maybe Prasidh Krishna can do that job. He has the ability to get something out of the wicket. I think this should do it. But every now and then, of course, subject to injury, I feel maybe Saini can sit down sometimes. Maybe Bolt might miss a couple here and there. So I think I think I'm okay with 3 foreign players for this team.
No, RR has actually made really good buys, but what is the what do you say? They have bought Prasidh Krishna for 10 crores. Any validation on that? Why should they pay 10 crores for Prasidh Krishna, who has not been a proven product in the IPL actually?
But if you
I actually spoke about him yesterday itself. I remember myself echoing very clearly that Prasidh Krishna is going to go for big bucks, and he did. He's not the best of bowlers going around at the moment, but that ability to get the ball to do something out of a dead pitch, he has that, and very few Indian bowlers have that. Actually, second bowler comes to mind. Even Bumrah sometimes goes at 8 runs and over on a dead pitch. Prasidh Krishna just might not. He will have a couple of bad days.
Of course, every bowler will. And Prasidh Krishna, with this confidence of doing really well for India, we've seen that with Siraj. He did really well in Test cricket, and you saw him convert that into T20 and one-day cricket. So, just giving that consideration what he did in one-day cricket, expect him to have a really good IPL. And he's going to be a leader of the attack. No, actually, Bolt will be a leader of the attack, and he's going to learn a lot from Trent Bolt as well. That's only going to help him going ahead. And I think he's going to make his Test debut as well very soon. So he's at his peak of his career right now. The best time for any franchise to invest in an Indian bowler. That's the only reason why I can explain why he went for 10 crores. Probably one could say 10 crores is a bit too much for a commodity who hasn't proven himself. Probably a commodity which is still volatile in nature, but something which I believe he can give you returns. And just looking at the squad, the 4 overseas picks I can right now see is Butler is definitely starting, Hetmaya, and I wouldn't mind playing Coulter Knight, and Trent Bolt. So these are the four overseas from what I see. If you have to just give a starting 11, in my opinion, this should be a starting 11. Yashasvi Jaiswal and Devdutt Padikkal should open. Samson at 3, Butler at 4, Hetmyer at 5, and at 6 you can probably have a Riyan Parag, or at 5 Riyan Parag, and at 6 Hetmyer. Either way. And at 7, see, the only problem what they have is number 7, because if Ashwin bats at number 7, the tail becomes longer. I don't think Ashwin is a number 7 option in any cricket team. Even we have seen it with India, and especially not in T20 cricket. In Test cricket, you can still say Ashwin can be a good number 7, but in T20 cricket, Ashwin cannot be a number 7. I don't know. I want to know. I want to know really what do you guys think about that, because in my opinion, Ashwin is not number 7. I don't, in the squad which is in my hand, I don't see any other number 7 batting option. Or else you can play Coulter Knight number 7. That's another option which you can probably try out, but still, number 7 is still a higher position for Coulter Knight and both Ashwin. Other than that, in my team, I will have Chahal batting a number, any of those numbers. Then Coulter Knight, Trent Bolt. So that's 10 players. And I can go for one more player, that is Prasidh Krishna. So that's it. It's a good team, a well-rounded setup, a good starting 11, and they have decent backups as well. If you look at Trent Bolt, they have a backup of Obid McCoy. Then they have someone like Navdeep Saini, a backup of Prasidh Krishna. They have Casey Karyappa, backup for either Ashwin or even Chahal. So these guys are very good. And on top of that, they have Daryl Mitchell, a good all-round option from New Zealand. He can play anywhere in the batting order. He can bat number 5, number 6, and also open the batting. And James Neesham is a good option as well, a good all-round pick. And Rassie Van Anderson, I think he's a steal. He went for what, 2 crores or 1 crore, I think. He went for
You
1
actually expected him to go for the highest yesterday.
Yeah, I expected him to be the highest bid, and he went for 1 crore. That's an absolute steal. So on a day where you really want to play both Butler and Rassie Van Anderson, you can also do that. So altogether, this looks like a very power-packed batting lineup. Alongside, if you on a day where you feel Hetmyer cannot offer you, you can actually go for Rassie Van Anderson, and he could bring in a different option altogether, and also you can keep the wickets. But there are so many wicket-keeping options already. But I'm just giving you a probable
This
option.
this funny actually see maybe Jaiswal missing out. I actually don't see him doing as well as I would want him to. I feel in a
Yeah.
couple of games maybe he would have to sit and Padikkal moves up and maybe Vanadusen comes in at 3 again. And actually Vanadusen at 1 crore is not even a steal. That's practically cheating from Rajasthan Royals, but I'll just let it be.
Do you think Samson number 4 is late because he's the best Indian batsman? So Samson should bat number 3. Samson should bat number 3 just because of the fact that what he brings to the table as that hard hitting player. He has always done well when he bats top 3. Either he opens the batting, either he bats number 3. Number 4 is a little too late, but for Butler it is good. I just feel that Butler, he has batted number 4, number 5 for England in one-day cricket, and he can of course do that well. But a contrast opinion would be that his best of T20 innings has come at top of the order. So what will happen if Butler has to open with Yashasvi Jaiswal or Padikkal, and what happens to either of them? So it's not so as he really says, it will not do justice for Padikkal if he bats at number 3. Exactly what I feel. I think Padikkal was tried and tested number 3 in one of the games of Sri Lanka, and I saw really him struggling, because it's tough for Padikkal, but Padikkal as a player is a touch player. He's not a hard hitting player. Though he can swing around pretty much well, but then look at most of the runs which he scores, right? He scores most of his runs when he bats off the order, and his strike rate considerably reduces when he bats in the middle overs. So Padikkal should bat at top 1 or 2. There's no number 3 for Padikkal. So it's either you opening with Jaspreet Jaiswal and Padikkal, giving these two 22-year-old kids that freedom to go out there and express themselves, or saying that Butler, you're an experienced pro, we want someone of your experience, number 4, number 5, and take it on from there. Then you have a well-rounded setup. For example, you have a Hetmyer batting number 5, number 6, Riyan Parag who can offer the ball as well. So that would be my approach towards it. Other than that, I don't see any other reason why this should not be the starting 11 for Rajasthan Royals. You can take it on.
Yeah, as you said, when you have two Indians opening the batting, it provides a lot for the team. Like you can say, like Punjab Kings now how they're going to open. But don't you want Butler to face the most balls? Like you want your best batsman to face more balls than any other batsman in the team. I would say Butler is the best in the RR team right now as a batsman.
See, that was the opinion which Madam X gave us, right? Jen, you want to take on that?
I think I have an interesting take on it. I have put Josh Butler at number 3. And the reason for that is I feel Sanju Samson bats the best when he does not think about the consequences of his wicket. Like the issue with him at number 3 or number 4 is I felt many a times what has happened with Sanju Samson is that he would come at number 3, number 4, and he would see that a wicket is down or 2 wickets are down, and suddenly he becomes conscious about his shot making and he makes a rash decision there. For me, Josh Butler is a little bit more mature to play at number 3, and if in case, and David Particle, I have no question that he does not fit in number 3 for me at all. He's done well in IPL he has done well in the opening position. I'm not going to change that for him. And you have paid him big bucks not to fit him in a position he doesn't want to play. So I think that's the way I see it. Josh Butler number 3, I think, is the better fit out of all 3 of them. Um, Again, coming back to it, see, I think number 3 position in a T20 match isn't far off. Like, because the openers are going to go aggressive, you might, like, 4 out of 5 times the opening batsman is gone in the first 2 overs, and you will see Sanjay Samson and David Padikkal lose their first wicket. I mean, lose a wicket in the first 2 overs, because they both are kind of players who are aggressive, who will try to attack, and one of them will definitely try to be the enforcer. So Josh Butler is not missing out on a lot of deliveries unless you see David Padikkal and Sanju Samson form a very good partnership of 100 runs or so, and that's not bad for the team, is it? So I feel Butler, because of his acceleration, is a better choice at number 3 than
Yeah.
Sanju Samson or
Fair
David
point,
Padikkal.
fair. Yeah.
So that's where I'm going with. Going forward, I think number 3, I have Jaiswal, and a toss-up between him and Karun Nair. And the reason why I say Karun Nair is because this Rajasthan team faced a lot of issues in the past with the fact that they've never had an anchor in their lineup. They tried with Smith, but the fact that Smith was just trying to play agricultural shots did not help them at all. With someone like Karun Nair, Karun Nair is someone who has potential. He's not been in the best of forms, and he's definitely not been a hottest pick in the auction, but he's done well in the past. And Sanju Samson and Karun Nair are teammates for a lot of IPL teams. So you never know. With Sanju Samson being in the helm, he might trust his close friend. But
Yeah, I like the first lineup where you brought in Yashasvi Padikkal to open, Butler at 3, Samson at 4. Samson looks like a mature cricketer with captaincy on his shoulder. He looks like a player who's looking to take the game deep. And also, when you have Etmire and also Riyan Parag to follow, that helps a good lineup. But again, my question is this: they have 6 bowling option in the starting 11, and you have a number 7 in Ashwin. Is that going to be a viable number
actually,
7
I
option?
have
Sanjay
an
is there,
interesting solution for that. I have a very interesting solution for that. The way I see it is, for me, Ashwin bats at number 8, and I'll tell you how. As Sanjit mentioned, there are 3, foreign players who pick themselves. That is Bolt, Hetmeyer, and Butler. The rest of the foreign players, you're just gonna probably chop and change and see how it works. I have 2 interesting names. One is Jimmy Neesham and one is Daryl Mitchell. And the reason why I see them as viable options is because you have the opportunity as Rajasthan Royals to play a floater. And these 2 are the best floaters they have in their lineup. Jimmy
See,
Neesham's
my
not
point again
justified.
goes to the same fact that if you're playing with Daryl Mitchell or Jimmy Neesham, who do they replace in the starting 11? So are they going to come in at number 6? And so what's going to be the bowling attack? So you have a Chehal Ashwin, that's 2
So
slot.
for me,
Chehal Ashwin,
the
Trent
bowling
Bolt is
attack looks
now
like,
probably
yeah.
8, 9, and 10. Just put that. So who's your number 11? Is it going to be Navdeep Saini?
It's going to be Prasidh Krishna for me just because of the way
Okay,
he's
just
bowling.
okay. So
The
that's your
stocks
8,
are
9,
high.
10, 11. Okay, fine, fair enough. Again, fine, you can go with that
I
take.
think for me, the point is, since you have someone like Riyan Parag and Daryl Mitchell, if Trent Bolt and Prasidh Krishna ball to the way they're bowling right now and the way they've been bowling in IPL, then you can easily fit in. You can just sneak Riyan Parag and Daryl Mitchell in.
Again, think that pace lineup is just 8 overs. They don't have a third pacer. If you look at all the best teams, they have 3 bowling options and 3
You
good
would,
quicks.
the issue with the fact is this: now you want to play Navdeep Saini, but then do you replace him with Ashwin or do you replace him with Chahal? The only way I see them not playing is if it's not a spinning track and it's, for example, a Wankhede, a proper Wankhede pitch, you will have probably Navdeep Saini play instead of an Ashwin. And that's a big call to take. But then I feel Chahal is much better suited, and with Navdeep Saini's pace, you play him. But the reason why, but on a pitch where, on an Indian pitch, on an Indian T20 pitch, you want 2 spinners, 2 proper spinners, and Chahal and Ashwin could be a very good combo together. You could see them hunting wickets together, and you don't want to break that up, especially when you've paid that kind of money. The Instagram page is lit with the fact that they've gotten Chahal and Ashwin. you won't want to replace them. Navdeep Saini is someone I see coming in and going out, and the reason why I put Daryl Mitchell in there is because he's got some interesting stats. Actually, I mean, he's not been proven in IPL yet, but you know what he can do in a T20 match is he's got a strike rate of 151. And in number seven, I mean, not number seven, but in number six, he has a strike rate of 160, 170. He's only played 2 innings there, but he's someone who can bat from 1 to 7. So, depending on your strategy, you can send him anywhere. He could be a Sam Curran for them, and a much better
Darren
player
Mitchell.
than Sam Curran.
But
And
Darren Mitchell, again, he's not a proper bowler. So he's your third pacer. That actually weakens your pace lineup. Then you're reliant heavily on your
I mean, able way I see it is this: if you have Navdeep Saini playing, you don't have Daryl Mitchell playing. Then that's the way I see it. So obviously, Daryl Mitchell is a stopgap measure. He's someone who's going to give you that 1 over, 2 overs, just so you complete the quota of a player. So you're gonna combine Riyan Parag and him and get the overs done. But the reason why I see him there is because the fact that he's not a bad bowler. On a sluggish pitch where pace is what batsmen are looking for. At his pace, it's gonna be difficult to put him away, and he's at a very good form. So the only reason I'm putting him there is because I'm like, he could be he could be a game changer for them. You're not expecting someone like a Daryl Mitchell to come and perform well, and he's in hot form. So you never know. He could just lit IPL apart. I mean, lit IPL, and Rajasthan has the luxury to do that. The way I see it, if a Daryl Mitchell doesn't ball well, you probably have someone like a Riyan Parag to cover that up. And
Yeah.
if he's not playing well, I mean, if he's not batting well, you have Shimron Hetmyer, you look at the lineup, you have Shimron Hetmyer, Josh Butler. What are the odds that one of all three of them don't perform well on a good day, on a day? So that is the reason why I feel Daryl Mitchell is a luxury that they have. Another example, the reason why I went with Daryl Mitchell is I rate him a bit more higher than Jimmy Neesham in terms of bowling. And since their batting performances haven't been far apart, I'm going with Daryl Mitchell, even though Daryl Mitchell is actually much more cheaper in the auction than Jimmy Neesham, which kind of surprises me because Jimmy Neesham has not performed well at all in IPL. And maybe the fact that
See,
he's playing
that's
in
where I
IPL is the
feel
reason why
they
he's
probably
the
have good buys, but at the same time, they don't look like a well-rounded setup because there are areas which are really concerning for them. For example, their batting lineup only goes to 6.
True.
And Riyan Parag last year just had a 95-run season.
So
And he
that
was
is
likely
like
to be less than 100.
Daryl
So
Mitchell doesn't fit in any IPL team other than Rajasthan Royals. And the reason I say
right
it is
now,
because
yes.
they don't have a lower order batsman. If you
But if you
have a
look,
good lower order batsman, then you don't need a Daryl Mitchell. He doesn't fit in that team.
if you have a strong top 5, or else Riyan Parag bats number 5, Hetmyer takes the pressure at number 6. Fair enough, but
the
Hetmyer
reason
number
why I
6
say
is
them do
very low
well,
for him.
the reason why I say them do well is because Padikkal, Sampson, and Butler is going to take the maximum amount of balls. And if Jaiswal is doing well, again. So that leaves someone like Hetmyer, Parag, and Mitchell with what, 5 overs. And they're good enough for that. That's 30 balls. They are someone who can really change the game. So that is the reason why I feel
Good point. Yeah.
they have a very good top order, and that kind of covers or kind
So
of
their
overshadows the
fifth
lower order.
bowling option is Daryl Mitchell for you. Fifth
Daryl
bowling
Mitchell
option.
he's a
He
dark
does
horse
not.
for me, and
He
I'm
does,
throwing him in there. Yeah.
I have a totally different opinion. He's not a fifth bowling option. He's a sixth bowling option because he balls at 110, 115, and he cannot be a third pacer. On a day where you don't have a good day with Prasidh Krishna, you cannot turn on to Daryl Mitchell. Again, coming to the point, Prasidh Krishna is not yet proven in the IPL.
But then the issue is you have to play Ashwin at number 7. So do you take the
Yeah.
risk?
So you have to take the risk probably and say that Ashwin will play
Probably the only way out
he
for
can put in
Rajasthan
at
team
number
is
8.
so probably the only team to tell. I mean, the only way for Rajasthan team is to tell Ashwin you have 7 deliveries to do or die. Do what you have to do. 7 deliveries. Get out in the 7 deliveries. And Ashwin is not someone he's had difficulties and like he's not played a good innings in a long time. But
Yeah.
Ashwin isn't someone who's bad. Like when he used to play with CSK in his golden years, as I would put it, he was a very good number 8, number 7 batsman.
I
He was
remember
a
he
better
had
batsman than
some of the
Jadeja
order
once upon a
as
time.
well.
And in fact, a lot of times in ODI cricket, there have been time when Dhoni and Ashwin have had a lower order partnership which has changed India's game. So you never know with Ashwin. But then again, at the age of 38, he's probably fading. But the only way I see it is Kumar Sangakkara telling Ashwin, you have 7 deliveries, do or die. we want you in and out in 7 deliveries. And that's the only 7 deliveries he's going to get. I don't expect this batting lineup for Ashwin to get 20, 25 deliveries. That just means things have gone horribly wrong for Rajasthan.
Right. I mean, I think we should go to the next team, Sankey. We spent a lot of time in
Let's
Rajasthan.
go to let's go to Lucknow Super Giants. Actually, they
Yeah.
made they got overall balance in the team. They a lot of balance actually. A lot of all-rounding options within them, and made a few good purchases actually, which might really help the team and to they might really go forward. I see them doing really well with the team they have, but this is their first season and we can't say anything actually. So it's I would say KL and Quinton to open and Manish Pandey at 3 and 4 Stoinis and 5 Manan Vora. Then Deepak Huda and Krunal Pandya, the friends, and Jason Holder, Ravi Bishnoi, Mark Wood, and Avesh Khan. I guess this is really balanced. I feel, and I don't see any changes to this unless the first few weeks Quinton de Kock maybe misses out. Other
So
than
I
that,
think
I
Cricket
don't.
will play. That's what South African Cricket Board wants them all to play. So my starting lineup is almost similar. KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock to open. At number 3, I will have Manish Pandey. At number 4, I will have either of Deepak Huda, Krunal Pandya. So this will be my 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I have Krunal Pandya, Deepak Huda, Marcus Stoinis, and Jason Holder. So you already have 2 overseas players there, and 3 overseas players are already slotted in. At number 8, you can have probably that's why again the batting model becomes a little weak if I play them. But then, or else again number 8 you can have a Krishnappa Gautam. At number 9 you can have Ravi Bishnoi. At number 10 Avesh Khan. Number 11 you can have a Mark Wood. So you have 2 pacers who are really good, but at the same time you have your third fast bowler will be Marcus Stoinis. But you have a holder as well. So I think this is a good team. I mean, altogether they cover all the bases well. You have holder, Stoinis. So in your top 7 itself, you have close to 20 overs covered right there. You have Huda, you have Huda who can give you 2. You have Krunal who can give you 4. You have Stoinis who can probably give you 4 on a good day. Holder can give you 4. So that's a very good lineup you're looking at there. And you have a Krishnappa Gautam if you can slot him in at number 8, a good finisher, hard hitter with the ball. He can also chip in with good 2 to 3 overs. If he has a bad day, they can definitely turn to another spinner. So this looks like a well-rounded setup as of now. And now talking about their bowlers, their Ravi Bishnoi, a good spinning option again, and Avesh Khan, Mark Wood to finish things off. So I think they are the team to beat.
Yep, looks like.
For me, I think for me, what I see is this: the fact that on on a bad day, they easily have 23 overs in their starting 11, and that is amazing. You don't have 21, 22, and I'm just saying on the fact that I'm getting that 23 figure by the fact that I'm actually rating some of the bowlers very low. Like I'm rating Marcus Stoinis to only give 2 overs. I'm rating Jason Holder to only give 2 overs, and which is not something that will happen every match. Jason Holder will easily give you 4 overs in conditions that India offers. But
Yeah.
on a bad day, this is what I'm going. 23 overs is too good, and the fact that it is distributed amongst 8 of their players is incredible. For me, in the
Yeah.
starting lineup, KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock, obvious choice. I think a great opening pair actually to be the fact that KL Rahul can ease up a little. There have been a little bit questions about him having a lower strike rate initially, and that kind of has affected Kings XI Punjab in the power play. But with Quinton de Kock, that is solved completely.
Yeah.
It gives him the time to play 20. By the time KL Rahul's play 20 balls, if Quinton de Kock's sticking around, they're already through 60 runs. That's the way he plays. So he
Yeah.
lives or dies by the sword, and that's exactly what he needs. Manish Pandey is an amazing buy for them because what is happening with Manish Pandey is the fact that with Kolkata and with Sunrisers, he's been playing in a batting lineup of anchors. Now he's the
Yeah.
only one who's here as an anchor, which means he has complete freedom to just go and play. By the time Manish Pandey comes to the crease, KL Rahul is already set, and once he's set, he's unstoppable. So I don't see Manish Pandey struggling here as much as he struggled before, or the fact that his 131 or 128 strike rate is focused by journalists a lot. Number 4 for me is interestingly Marcus Stoinis, and the reason why I say that is because I feel Marcus Stoinis is a lot more mature than he was when he initially came on the scene, and give him a good amount of deliveries to face, he could really be a threat. towards the end of the innings. I have separated Deepak Hooda. I've kept Deepak Hooda at number 5, and I've separated them with Jason Holder. And I'm hoping that Deepak Hooda will get out by the time Krunal Pandya comes into bat. So the way I see it is Deepak Hooda is someone I feel like there are. The reason why I feel with Deepak Hooda is the fact that I feel compared to Krunal Pandya, Deepak Hooda needs a little bit more time. The fact that India has probably played him at that level as well. Kunal Pandey is someone I feel is again, you probably expect him to play, expect him to not play. You don't know with his batting. That's been the case with him for the past few years. But one thing about Kunal Pandey is he's played when it mattered. He's a kind of like the Yusuf Pathan kind of player who plays when it matters, and that is why I feel him in the team. Krishnappa Gautam, and the reason why I went to Krishnappa Gautam again is the fact that they're playing it again, long-term solution. They're playing in Narendra Modi Stadium. It's a big stadium. Having spinners never hurt anyone in that stadium. The fact that Krishnappa Gautam can give you 2 overs, bats decently on a good day, and the fact that Krunal Pandya and Krishnappa Gautam are misers, and someone like Ravi Bishnoi needs exactly those kind of bowlers to make him even more threatening. So you have someone like Ravi Bishnoi bowl 4 overs, and you kind of switch between Deepak Hooda, Krishnappa Gautam, and Krunal Pandya, not give the fact that Krunal Pandya, Deepak bowling 4 overs on the trot kind of can make it easier for batsmen to pick him. But when you have someone like Krishnappa Gautam, Deepak Hooda, and Krunal Pandya bowling in tandem, you don't know who's coming to ball, kind of gives a variety to KL Rahul.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have Mark Wood and Avesh Khan to start in the first few overs really gives them a good advantage, because Mark Wood and Avesh Khan are really good new ball bowlers. So I expect them to do really well in the first few overs. With Mark Wood, I'm a bit doubtful if he'll do well in the end of the last few overs, but then I see Jason Holder as a much more viable option for them in those overs. And Avesh Khan is incredible. He's got a good head on his shoulders. So I see him being their marquee. Actually, I see him leading their bowling attack, because he seems the most well-rounded pacer in their lineup. But this is one team to be reckoned with, because they have performance throughout their 11, and not just in the 11, even on their bench. So this is one team to be reckoned with.
True, and I absolutely agree with you on that as well, Jaren, because just because of this team which they've formed, I know they've spent all their money in the kitty which they had. They've spent 59 crores and they bought all the players they could. And they've even got Kyle Mayers. He's a good player as well as a backup. If you look at the backup options, on a day where you don't see Dickov not probably firing if he's injured, you have Kyle Mayers who can keep. You have Evan Lewis is there. Evan Lewis is a steal at 2 crore. Then you have someone like...
You can even go ahead with, like, if a Quinton de Kock's not playing well, you can go in with
Manali Bora. Talk about Mark Wood. There is a backup in Dushmant Chamira as well. So I feel that's a great squad they have got all together, and I believe that this is one of the squad, as one of our viewers already asked us, which is a team which should qualify. I can actually put at least some amount of money on this team saying that they will qualify. If they don't, it surprise me a lot.
The only reason they don't qualify,
KL Rahul's captaincy, how he plays. Now it's all up to KL Rahul's captaincy, how he manipulates. If he's going to captain in really bad manner, and as we know of him, he's had a very poor track record so far in terms of captaincy. So if he has a good season when it comes to captaincy and it comes to manipulating the squad, I believe this team will go a long way, and this team has got enough potential for them to actually qualify into the playoff and even be a contender this season. So Lucknow Super Giants, they have a huge thumbs up from my side, and I feel they're a promising side going ahead. They have a good management, they have good coaching staff, altogether a team which I believe can do wonders in years to come as well, because they've got age on their side, and they're a team with so many vibrant players.
The only way I see them not getting into the qualifiers, the playoffs, is only because there's a new team, there's a new setup, new chemistry building is probably the only reason I see they don't go through. For me, Abel, I think one point that you raised, for me, I felt like Sanju Samson and KL Rahul never had a chance to prove their captaincy skills, because they never had options in their teams. I feel that is something, especially Sanju. So now this is the year they actually prove, and this is actually, especially for Sanju Samson, this is the year there's no excuses anymore for KL Rahul and Sanju Samson. They've got the squad. Now it's all up to their captaincy and all up to their temperament if they actually can lead the squad. So there's no excuses for these captains. KL Rahul probably with his brand, he probably has an year more. Sanjay Samson, this is his last year. If he doesn't do well with this team, you don't expect him to become a captain for any other IPL team for a long time to come.
Yeah, probably. And I believe this is a huge question mark on Sanju Samson as well. Let's go to the next team. Yeah,
Yep, which is the next team? We'll go to SRH or KKR.
let's
I think
go to
let's go to
KKR.
KKR is an interesting case study actually.
Yeah,
Actually, they made a few interesting buys. With there were rumors coming out saying Shreyas Iyer 20 crores were put apart for him, and then
I think it was a comment on our video, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, there
yeah.
was 20 crores it seems.
So let's go to this team. I think they've got Baba Indrajit, a good buy. They got Pratham Singh, Ramesh Kumar, Ajinkya Rahane, who I feel is a very good buy. They got Rinku Singh back. Then finally, I've seen a team pick up Alex Sales after having him put up a lot of good performance across leagues in the world. They've got Shreyas Iyer, who I believe will be their captain. Sheldon Johnson and Sam Billings. Sam Billings, we did discuss about him. Me and Jen were having a discussion as to whether which team will he end up in, and I'm happy that he got a team. Andre Russell, a retention. Venkatesh Iyer, a retention. Sunil Narayan, Anukul Roy from Mumbai Indians. Nitish Rana spending 8 crore. Mohammad Nabi, an interesting pick actually. Varun Chakravarti, Chamika Karunaratne, who I thought is an absolute steal at 50 lakhs. Tim Southee is back again. Shivam Mavi, they've retained him again. And Patrick Cummins. Uh, I think it's a well-rounded setup so far. And I believe they've got... I don't see a lot of I would say if you were to ask me at the start of the auction, right, how they were going to pan out, I would have actually had my skepticism on them. Right now, I would say they're a 6 on 10 side because what they really lack is middle order batting. So you have a Ajinkya Rahane who's going to open the batting supposedly, and you have a Shreyas Iyer who will bat at number 3. And probably I'm hoping that alongside Ajinkya Rahane, you'll have Venkatesh Iyer, of course, opening. And now
Obviously,
you'll have Shreyas Iyer at 3. Shreyas Iyer at 3 means you'll have to play someone like a Sheldon Jackson at number 4. Or maximum, you can play Rinku Singh at number 4. I think it's way too early for these lads to come at number 4.
you
And
got
then you'll
Nitish
have
Rana at number 4.
What
You
about
can play.
Nitish Rana? Yeah.
Nitish Rana at number 4 is also an option. But yeah, you can go that way. Nitish Rana number 4, Sheldon Jackson number 5, Andrew Russell 6, Sunil Narayan 7. Then you have your ballers. You can probably try someone like Patrick Cummins number 8, Shivam Mavi number 9. Then who I think how many overseas spots are filled now? Now you have
All four, I
Sunil
guess.
Narayan, Andrew Russell,
No. 3.
and your that's it, right?
Actually, would you play Sam
Sunil Narayan,
Billings?
Andrew Russell is the two lead
You have a
overseas
wicket keeper there.
alongside
You have a
Patrick
wicket keeper.
Cummins.
Yeah,
Then you can play Samika Karunaratne or probably Tim Southey, depending on who you want to go. So I
wait,
think
would
it's
you
a
play
good
Sam
squad.
Billings? Would you actually play Sam
No,
Billings?
actually, I won't play Sam Billings because if Sam Billings come, the balance of the team gets affected. Right now, you have a decent balance if you're going with an Indian keeper. So they have keeping options in Sheldon Jackson and Sam Billings, but Sam Billings is a very tempting option. I really want him to play as well because he can bat anywhere in the batting order and he's an incredible finisher. You've seen him do that with Chennai Super Kings. You've seen him do that with Delhi Daredevils when it was Delhi Daredevils back then. And he's also a player who's got a good head on his shoulder. Now he was also drafted into the England Test squad for the only match which they played in Hobart and did not get the chance. But then, yeah, he's that kind of player who can bring in versatility into the squad. And I hope he starts. If you look at the squad, they have Ajinkya Rahane, who will probably give them that foil kind of a start. Probably he'll nudge around, pick those singles, score the odd boundary, probably strike at 125 at max on a good day for Ajinkya Rahane. Or else he'll definitely return back to the pavilion as soon as possible. So that's what Ajinkya Rahane will bring into the table. Venkatesh Iyer is a free-flowing batsman. So this is second season and he's definitely going to be found out. On the first season, everybody's a good player. But on the second season is when the real test starts for him. If he has a good season, but now the biggest problem is they don't have a Rahul Tripathi. Maybe I hope Shreyas Iyer can probably cover for Rahul Tripathi, and that's where I believe that he's going to have a lot more, responsibility which he'll have to deal with. And now coming to Nitish Rana at number 4, see Nitish Rana has been an inconsistent player in my opinion. He offers with the ball a little bit. He's a good player in IPL standards. For example, he can be a good finisher, but he still struggles against the odd short ball. If there's a genuine quick baller, he's still fine. He still looks very uneasy on this crease. He's a good player of spin, a terrific player of spin. But number 4, I don't know how far it will be successful for him. And number 5, I believe I want Russell to bat number 5 personally. And number 6, Narayan. And number 7 could be a floater. For example, as we already spoke on Mumbai Indians, you can have good 10 players and and 11th player could be a floater. And that's what I see in Sheldon Jackson, who can keep wickets for it. And he's a fierce hitter of the ball. Or else on another day, you can play Sheldon Jackson number 3 and also bring in someone like Shreyas Iyer at number 4 just to give that stability to the middle order. But I think number 4 is too late for Shreyas Iyer. That's why he batted number. That's why he batted for Delhi Capitals, and I didn't like it at all. So Shreyas Iyer should bat number 3 in this batting order, and he's a captaincy material for me. And Patrick Cummins number 8, of course. And then you can have your bowlers, Varun Chakravarti. You can have your Tim Southee and whoever possibly who can fit into that squad. Overall, a good starting lineup, but they don't have backups again. Another squad who doesn't have squad depth, so they might struggle if they lose one of their players. If they lose a Patrick Cummins, I don't know who's the backup going to be.
I think
The same
Steve
case with Andrew
Southee
Russell.
is
They don't have a
probably
backup for Andrew Russell.
Tim Southee is probably the backup for Pat Cummins. Andre Russell is someone who has no backup in
Yeah.
most teams. So it's very difficult to find a backup for Andre
And
Russell.
Andrew Russell is a candidate who is very susceptible to injuries. So I think Chamika Karunaratne is an option for Andrew Russell, what I see right now. And if Andrew Russell cannot fit in, they'll bring in a spin bowling option in Mohammad Nabi. So I see that's good in some conditions, but Andrew Russell is an Andrew Russell, right? You cannot replace him that easily. So uh, many people criticize the squad, but in my opinion, they will do well. Then what? That's my take on it. Ajay, you can carry on from where I've left off.
So yeah, for me, I think what I've done is I've gone the safer way. From what I feel like.
Just answer this
Uh,
question as well when you talk about it. Umesh Yadav.
Well, actually, I have Umesh Yadav in my team,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is so the reason for that is, I mean, I'll come to it. So the way I see it, obviously, I mean, I really wanted Shreyas Iyer to open. I want to see how well he does because I feel with him playing 120 balls, he can do a lot for the team. But
But yet again, you're giving
the
another Indian,
moment
right?
But the moment
Let
you
him.
bring Ajinkya Rahane into the team, you cannot fit Ajinkya Rahane anywhere below the first 2 spots. So you automatically Shreyas Iyer comes down to one down. So it's Ajinkya Rahane and yeah, I mean it's Ajinkya Rahane who comes in, then Venkatesh Iyer, so that Venkatesh Iyer can combat Ajinkya Rahane's slow start. But Ajinkya Rahane has actually been lighting Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy on fire. He's
Yeah.
not the Ajinkya Rahane that we've seen in the IPL before. Obviously, we
Yeah.
need to see if that transitions into the IPL. That's a different ball game, but that's a
Yeah.
good sign for Kolkata Knight Riders, and that's obviously the reason why they've brought him. But aside from that, Shreyas Iyer one down. Ajinkya Rahane. I really hope that Venkatesh Iyer plays well because if he doesn't do well at the top, then I really see Kolkata struggle in the opening bits because someone like Shreyas Iyer and Ajinkya Rahane might slow things down very much for them. And that might be a worry for Kolkata. And the fact that only player I see negating that is Andre Russell. So then obviously I think number 4 for me is Nitish Rana, and I don't see anyone better than him in that spot because he's done a well for them, and I feel past seasons he's had too much pressure to deal at number 4. This time around he has a little less baggage at that spot, which gives him a little bit more freedom. And the fact that Venkatesh Iyer and Nitish Rana, like the fact that Ajinkya Rahane and Venkatesh Iyer can be easily swapped around with Shreyas Iyer and Nitish Rana, with the fact that left hand right hand combination stays fit at the top of the order really goes well for them. I would really like to see Sam Billings in number 5. I feel he has been, he is not underrated. He's obviously been over. He is someone who's rated equally, but he's always been treated unjustly by teams. With CSK, the fact that Dhoni was there, he never got to play. The
Yeah.
fact with Delhi Capitals was, I felt Delhi Capitals never rated him as highly as he was, and the fact that only when CSK gave him that match against Kolkata, which ironically is where he came up and became a big commodity in world cricket.
Yeah.
I feel at number 5 he fits really well. They also need a wicket keeper, and he is a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't have a good middle order is probably the reason why all of their foreign players fit in that middle order area. You have Andre Russell at number 6, which I feel is a perfect spot for him. If things go wrong, he can really take the attack to the opposition.
Yeah.
I don't see Andre Russell ball a lot for Kolkata, probably an over or 2. And that is the reason why I have picked 3 pace bowlers in the following. The order that is Pat Cummins comes at number 8 for me. Tim Southee is probably a viable option for him because Pat Cummins has not
Then
had
you have
the
already exhausted your 4 overseas spots, isn't it? Because you
So
have your
Pat Cummins
Narayan.
Pat Cummins is the final Pat Cummins is the final option for me. I have Sam Billings, Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan, and Pat Cummins. So that's
Yeah,
four.
but then you mentioned Tim Southee actually.
Tim Southee for me is a replacement for Pat Cummins, not
Okay.
after Pat Cummins. Like so, if
But
Pat
then
Cummins,
I think this team will really struggle in death balling prowess because they don't have
yeah,
a death baller at all. That's where they
their
probably see a lot of
the
runs.
issue is the fact that their best bowlers are Andre Russell and Pat Cummins is what's scary for them. So you need to mold. Shivam Mavi is a very good prospect for death bowling. He
Yeah,
has got the skills, but you
yeah,
need to mold him, and that is not going to happen this season for me. 2 seasons,
yeah,
3 seasons down the line, he can be an excellent bowler, but then that means you're going to risk your death bowling on him. And I've gone with Varun Chakravarti, which is an obvious pick. And Umesh Yadav is something that I've decided to go with because I feel like they need Pat Cummins to the death, and Umesh Yadav can cover for him in the starting. You can give Pat Cummins an over or two, see how he does, and Umesh Yadav balls those 4 overs for him, for you, and then obviously you get the spinners in and you ball them in tandem. So that is
yeah.
my lineup for me. That's why Umesh Yadav fits in for me, I feel.
Let's go
Okay.
to the next team. I
No,
think that's
actually, don't you guys think all their top order batsmen are a bit like all the batsmen who have a more conservative approach? Actually, you see Ajinkya Rahane, even Venkatesh Iyer. He might charge things up a little, but
yeah.
So like,
But then
most of them have a
Shaggy, that's
good
the
level of
point from
their
approach.
earlier.
lower
The
middle
fact
order
that
is explosive.
the fact that they need Venkatesh Iyer and Nitish Rana to fire at all cylinders. If they don't do well, I don't see this team doing very well because I still feel Sam Billings probably someone who can manage a collapse, but I don't see Andre Russell as someone who can still manage a collapse. I feel Andre Russell plays in one gear, that's the sixth gear, and
Mm,
he might do well. He will slog all 30 deliveries he faces, all 40 deliveries he faces after a collapse. But all it takes is one delivery to get him out. He's not someone who's technically sound as Sam Billings. So what might happen is if they don't perform well, two things might happen to Kolkata. That is, they might end up with a 120 if Andre Russell doesn't play well and you don't see Venkatesh Iyer and Nitish Rana do well. Otherwise, what will probably happen is you suddenly see them folding for a 90 or 110 or 111. That
yeah.
is my worry with Kolkata Knight Riders. The fact that you mentioned Ajinkya Rahane and Shreyas Iyer might become a liability for them
I
if the
think
others
they
don't
should have
perform.
gone for a better bowler than Patrick Cummins because Patrick Cummins is good, he's a good option, but if you talk about T20 bowling skills, I still have my doubts on Patrick Cummins. He's a good all-round option in my opinion because he even scored a couple of really good knocks in the last season of IPL, and I think he's someone who can be a captaincy option as well, if not Shreyas Iyer, because of his experience of leading an Australian team and also giving them the success he has given. But other than that, Ajinkya Rahane he's going to be under pressure when he's going to come into the IPL just because of this fact that he's going to be probably dropped from the Indian Test squad as well. So he's going to be coming into the KKR setup with a lot of pressure and a lot of baggage. Or else he's going to come in saying, I have a point to prove and I'm going to play the IPL like I want to own it. And I'm going to send out a message to all my critics and selectors saying that I belong in this format and I am an absolute steal at 1 crore. If you can give a 350 run season for KKR, they look like a good team and they can probably, he doesn't have to score at 140. All what he has to do is score 120, be the anchor, then allow Shreyas Iyer, your Venkatesh Iyers just to unleash from there on. So it'll all depend on the both Iyers for me. In my opinion, if how the Iyer duo go about in this season, that's how they're going to perform the whole season. If you look at their options in bowling department, they have a lot of options. You have Venkatesh Iyer who can bowl, you have Nitish Rana who can chip in with 2 overs at least, you have Andre Russell, you have Sunil Narayan, and rest of your bowlers. So they're a good all-round setup, but then the questions are how will they manage, as Jaren, you rightly mentioned, on a bad day, if they're going to collapse for 110, 111, that's going to be it. If you lose your Ajinkya Rahane and Shreyas Iyer in your top, in your first 6 overs, then it looks very tough for them to build on because Venkatesh Iyer is still an inexperienced commodity when it comes to IPL and also in terms of handling pressure. We've not seen him do that quite often. But that's why you need a Sam Billings, as you rightly mentioned. Then you're going on for an Umesh Yadav, Shivam Mavi, and Patrick Cummins to finish things off. And that's why they will struggle in the death. I think we can go to the next team now. I think we have spent enough time and we're running short on
Uh,
time as well.
let's go to the bench actually.
Let's go to Delhi Capitals.
Oh, didn't we cover them?
Yeah.
Oh my
We have
god.
two teams left with the Sunrise and Delhi Capitals and
And
Gujarat
also,
Gujarat,
Titans. As
Gujarat,
well.
Gujarat
Should be a
Titans as
part
well.
two.
yeah, a lot of teams.
Okay, so Delhi Capitals, they have Prithvi Shaw, Mandeep Singh, Yashdul, Roman Powell, Sarfraz Khan, Ashwin Hebar, David Warner, Rishabh Pant, Tim Seifert, Srikar Bharat, Andrik Nokia, Khalil Ahmed, Lungi Ngidi, Chetan Sakriya, Praveen Dubey, Kamlesh Nagarkoti, Kuldeep Yadav, Shardul Thakur, Mustafizur Rahman, Aksar Patel, Lalit Yadav, Vicky Ostwal, Ripal Patel, Mitchell Marsh. So don't you make of this team that they are like a fast bowling unit? Like they've got a proper fast bowling unit. They got Andrik Nokia, they got Lungi Ngidi, Kamlesh Nagarkoti, Shardul Thakur, Mustafizur Rahman. This is like, they got some factory of fast bowlers. Like they got a lot of fast bowlers.
Yeah, yes, they
And
do, but they don't have backups.
best, the issue is, I think, the fact that they have a very good bowling lineup. Again, as Abel mentioned, there's no backups. The
Yeah,
it's just something that coaches have to hope, fingers crossed that no one's injured in the bowling
yeah.
lineup.
Yeah, they have back. Actually, they have one foreign backup, that is Mustafizur Rahman, and I'll put them. I'll put my starting 11. I see Prithvi Shaw and David Warner opening. That's an obvious choice. And number three is something I am still wondering who's going to bat. But I would take my punt and I would say I would like to have Shrikar Bharat at number three, just because of what he has done for RCB in the last season and what his capability is. Even in yesterday's show, I mentioned that he might not be the most talented batsman, but he's a very gutsy batsman, and he can offer you a lot more up front, and he can play the spin really well. So just considering those fronts, I would have Srikar Bharat at number three. At number four is of course Rishabh Pant. At number five, I see an option for them in Mitchell Marsh. Mitchell Marsh can be a really good number five, or number three can be Mitchell Marsh as well. But then your number five will be an inexperienced batsman. That's why they'll have to really take a call as to who's going to bat number five. And number six can be Lalit Yadav, who batted for them. Number seven can be your Aksar Patel. Then from there on, your bowling lineup starts. You have Shardul Thakur, who can bat number seven as well. Then you have your Kuldeep Yadav, who I see as a sure starter from this lineup. He'll bat number nine. Then you have, I see Andrik Nokia starting alongside Lungi Ngidi. And I'd also like to see probably Khalil Ahmed ahead of Chetan Sakriya, just because of what Khalil Ahmed can offer. Khalil Ahmed is a tall bowler, he can swing the ball up front, and he's also a little more quicker than Chetan Sakriya. But though Chetan Sakriya is a wonderful talent, he's still yet to be groomed in younger days of his career. But I would like to see Khalil Ahmed instead of probably Chetan Sakriya. But if you look at this squad from last year, they had a good auction, but then that's how mega auction is, right? We're comparing all of the teams compared to last year, but then mega auction can just probably dismantle a lot of your squad and actually disintegrate your squad. So that's what I feel. They might not be as good as your last year's squad where they had your Shikhar Dhawan, Prithvi Shaw, Shreyas Iyer. But that looked like a dream lineup, right? Then you had a Rabada, Nokia, Avesh Khan. So that's definitely not going to be there. Ashwin is also missing. But compared to last year, they're only 50% of what they are. But then definitely a good squad who they can build upon, but no backups. In terms of batting, they have backups in probably Mandeep Singh and Yasdul. Two batsmen who's worth investing upon. Rahman Powell, I thought, is an excellent buy. He's probably at his prime of his career because he's been doing well really for West Indies. And Tim Seifert is another option whom they can try. For example, if David Warner is missing out, if he's getting injured, he can bat up top as well. So Tim Seifert is a really good option in that front. Mitchell Marsh is a very good buy at 6.5 crores. He can offer you with the ball a little bit here and there. So I feel he's a right hand switch for Marcus Joynes, but he may not be the finisher you're looking for, right? Marcus Joynes was an excellent finisher in terms of how you could finish the game, how you could take the innings deep and long. And Marcus Joynes, if you look at Mitchell Marsh in the last few years, he's been batting at number three for Australia, and he's a good player of spin and also for pace. So that's why probably Delhi looks a lot more different than what they were last year. Last year, I just don't even want to compare to that squad because that squad looked very threatening to me, but this squad is less threatening, and that's because of obvious reasons. You have to look for Indian options a lot more. You'll have to play Srikar Bharat, is not as good as Shreyas Iyer. You may have to pay a Mitchell Marsh, who is not probably as good as Marcus Stoinis, and you don't have a Hetmeyer as well. So Lalit Yadav batting at 6, okay move, but then still I have my doubts on him. Now I'm just counting at my overseas options. I have David Warner, Mitchell Marsh. Then if I'm playing both NGD and Nokia, that's fine. If I'm only playing one of those, then I can probably fit in a Rahman Powell. And I would really like to fit in a Rahman Powell in this lineup just because they lack their finishing power compared to last year. If they have a Rahman Powell, this looks like a better squad, but then their bowling becomes slightly weaker.
Wait,
So
did you include Mitchell Marsh in your 11?
yes, I did. Mitchell
So
Marsh
where did
bats
you include him?
Mitchell Marsh bats at number 5 or number 3, either way. If
So why
Mitchell Marsh
wouldn't
batting
you
at number 3,
Why don't you take Roman Powell over Mitchell Marsh if you want to play him at 5 or 6?
Yes, that's a good option, but Mitchell Marsh can offer me a little more with the ball, right? That's the reason I've opted for Mitchell Marsh because Rahman Powell can ball. And no disrespect to his bowling credentials, but the only reason why I went for Mitchell Marsh is because what he can offer me with the ball and also his recent form, right? He's been batting consistently for Australia and also for Perth Scorchers and other teams he's been playing, and he's been able to play the spin well as well. So he can bat number 5, number 3 anywhere, but then number 5 is a hole which they have to fill. And in this team, if at all you're playing a Shrikar Bharat at number 5, then you have to definitely look for Rahman Powell at number 6. Then you can only play Andy Nokia. So it's completely different from what you saw them last year. Generally, you can take on from there.
Yeah, so for me, I think a little bit of an interesting like twist. Like I've pretty much gone with the same players you have, but I've placed them in different areas.
Yeah.
What I've gone with is Prithvi Shaw and David Warner, which is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I have gone with number 3 with Yash Dhul, and the reason I feel that is for 2 reasons.
Very good option, actually.
The reason I
Interesting.
feel
Actually, I forgot to take him. Yeah. Yeah. Good
the
option, yeah.
reason I feel that is because one, the Delhi management is keen on throwing the under-19 players straight into the ring. We saw that with Prithvi Shaw, and they've actually had success with it. And the fact that Yash Dhul has no pressure if the others in my lineup perform, I feel Yash Dhul has lesser pressure to deal with, and that's something I feel under-19 players require in a setup for when if they have to perform in a high-octane tournament like IPL. For me, the number 4, number 5, number 5, number 6 are completely they're all floaters for me in a way. They can be rotated any way depending on the situation. And for me, on a normal, like an ideal, probably it's not easy for me to pick this lineup, and it doesn't even have to be this way in any match. Just depends on the matchups. It's Mitch Marsh at number 4 because of the way he's been batting for Australia. And the fact that at number 4, it gives him a longer time to settle down and become more threatening. I've also felt Mitchell Marsh is someone who's able to take on ballers in the middle overs, which is something which will really help the fact that the next batsman coming in is Rishabh Pant. So Mitch Marsh and Rishabh Pant could really really go after them, especially looking at some of the other lineups in the other mega auction. The fact that many teams don't have good ballers in the middle overs, and that's something that every team will suffer. And the fact that these two will be opening in the middle over will probably help. I look at KS Bharat as a finisher, and I think a lot of IPL teams looked at him as a finisher ever since his claim to fame where he hit Avesh Khan for a 6. So I see him as a finisher for me. But again, the fact that 4, 5, 6 can be repeated anytime. So you might have a KS Bharat come in number 4 as well, depending on the situation. I would see Shardul Thakur take a big role in this lineup compared to CSK. I felt in CSK it was more like the golden arm boy, but here he's more of a leader of the pack. He needs to step up, and he has the profile for it. I go with Akshar Patel at number 8, which is pretty much, I think, where he fits in this lineup. You obviously won't send him ahead of Shardul Thakur. Number 9 is Kuldeep Yadav. If I'm not wrong, Kuldeep Yadav is number 9 for me because, again, a good pick. The fact that Kuldeep Yadav will really fit in with Akshar Patel is Akshar Patel is not going to give runs. So you're going to have to go after Kuldeep Yadav. And that's where Kuldeep Yadav is at his most lethal. And the fact that, again, Firuzshah Kotla, on a good day, it's going to turn. And Kuldeep Yadav is extremely dangerous to face in a turning pitch. Andrik Nokia and Lungi Nigiri, I think Andrik Nokia obviously picks himself. Here is where they might face a bit of chopping and changing. You might see Lungi Nigiri either replaced by Khalil Ahmed, and then Roman Powell becomes... I fit Roman Powell instead of KS Bharat because I feel Rishabh Pant is there as a keeper, so they don't need a keeper as desperately. And Roman Powell is someone who fits more than KS Bharat in the finisher role. Secondly, the other thing they could try is, aside from that, they could bring in, Mushfiqur Rahman instead of Lungi Nigiri, depending on the pitch. So I think this is my lineup. I feel Delhi has a very good backup when it comes to batting. And the reason I feel that is you have Sarfaraz Khan as an opener, and I really want to see him as an opener. I feel he could come in for Prithvi Shaw, and no other team has tried him as an opener. They've always tried him as a finisher. I feel Sarfaraz Khan could be just unleashed at the top. You've got someone like Tim Seifert for David Warner. And from there on, I think they'll have a bit of an issue. Mandeep Singh, again, I feel has been unjustly dealt with, trying to make him a finisher because he finished one match for RCB. I don't see him as a finisher as much as I see him as an anchor and someone who can gradually grow in strike rate. but they have a very good team, Delhi. Obviously, they're not
I
as
would be surprised if he bats number three for Delhi as well. Number three, Mandeep Singh can be a good option, and
but
Yashdul
like
is
the
still a
reason
raw
why I
talent.
see that's not gonna happen is because Yashtul has a higher stock, higher rating. I feel because he's coming from a win as an under 19 captain, and as I mentioned, under 19 captains are always have love affairs with IPL franchises, and the fact that Mandeep Singh is
Not IPL
pretty much
franchises. You can see
late.
franchise. Delhi. You can see Mukchand, Prithvi
Yeah,
Shaw. Now Yashadul.
that he's
Yeah,
probably
I
come with
think
the
yeah.
best IPL franchise in this
And
case.
actually, they almost got Virat Kohli back in 2008 as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's what
true.
they just went for Pradeep Sangwan. So I'm not surprised at all the way they've gone with Jasdul and another IPL captain too. And
And the fact that he comes from Delhi,
Delhi.
so
I
that is
come from
just
Delhi. Yeah,
proper love affair. So
yeah,
you
they can
will
build
see.
a brand, a future captain, but they already have a young captain. So I don't
The only
know.
way I see Yashtul not doing well, I mean, the only way I see Mandeep Singh playing in number three is if Yashtul's completely having an Unmukchan season. That's the only
Yeah.
way I see him
But I hope he
doing
doesn't. I hope he has a very good season. And if he has a very good season, which means he's definitely going to be in the reckoning of many more teams, and his stock is going to go twofold or threefold, and he's also even going to come in India reckoning. So all the best to him, and we really hope he does well because he's got tremendous potential, a very calm head on his shoulder. I'm very surprised that Sheikh Rashid did not get picked, but I see him more as a longer format player. I hope he does really well in the Ranji Trophy. Ranji Trophy starts tomorrow, guys. Catch all the Ranji Trophy action with us. We'll try to cover some at least. So yeah, we'll go to the last team, second last team actually.
Sure, the last. Oh shit.
Do you go for Sunrisers Hyderabad? Do you go for Gujarat Titans? I think Gujarat
We go for
Titans is a bit
Sunrisers
more.
Hyderabad and Gujarat Titans last. Just because of that team, I ranked them last as well. So, so
For
we'll
me,
go
I
for
think
Sun.
Gujarat Titans is much more of a tragedy than Sunrisers because
Sunrisers Hyderabad for me has been one of the best teams. I'll just say why.
Not
Their
not
openers
that
always.
best. Like, as you're talking about, it's not that great actually. To be honest, I don't feel it's that great.
Why I say it's great because they are an all-round setup. Same like RCB, I'll put them in similar lanes. If you look at their openers, they can probably open with Aiden Markram, and they also have an option. So their opening is a conundrum. I don't know who they will actually open with now. Is it going to be Rahul Tripathi? So I
Abhishek
see them
Sharma,
opening with Abhishek Sharma and Aiden
Tripathi actually.
Markram. That's my hunch. I don't know if that's going to work. Abhishek Sharma and Aiden Markram is going to open. And at number three, you will see Kane Williamson. At number four will be Rahul Tripathi, just because of obvious reasons. And at number five, you have Nicholas Puran walking in. At number six, you have Abdul Samad. At number seven, you have a Washington Sundar. At number eight, you have probably Romario Shepherd, whom they bought for 7.75 crores. I feel they bought him for a definite purpose, but if you look at his stats, it's not that impressive. He can probably offer a little bit with the ball and bat, but yeah, he's definitely going to start. I believe so. And you have your three. Then you have your Shreyas Gopal. Then you can play either from Umran Malik, Natraj, and Karthik Tyagi. If you look at the Indian pace score, it's dead. The Indian pace score depth is immense in this team. I feel that's the reason why they're one of the well-rounded setups of this IPL. I believe I strongly believe Aiden Markram should be given the opening spot, and I think he's a very good opening player. But he's done really well for South African number four as well. So that's a punt they should take it. I don't mind Kane Williamson opening. I think he had the best season when he opened for Sunrisers Hyderabad back in 2018, when he had that 600 run season. And I think it's not a bad idea at all to keep Kane Williamson to open Aiden Markram at three. They can actually switch depending on their situation. Then which means Rahul Tripathi will open. So altogether, they have a well-rounded setup, very good starting 11, and immense pace depth when it comes to Indian bowling. And that's why I feel they're a very good setup in terms of the all-round options as well. Because you can have Aiden Markram chipping in with 2 overs, you can have your Abhishek Sharma chipping in with 2 overs, then whoever they're going to open with, then you have more or less you have who else? Abdul Samad who can ball. Then you have your Washington Sundar who can ball. Umran Malik is terrifically quick. Karthik Tyagi is also very quick. Then you have your Natarajan who can finish things off. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I believe they bought him just to mentor these guys. I don't see him as a starter, or else they're going to say, okay, Bhuvi, we're going to give you that role. We're going to completely trust in you. You're going to be our vice captain of this team. If Bobby is going to start, he's going to be a vice captain of your team. And if he doesn't have any injuries this season at all, he's going to start. They're going to say, okay, Bobby, you're going to give you 14 games. Show us what you got. And it's also an opportunity for Bhuvneshwar Kumar to redeem himself. That's the only option I see Bhuvneshwar Kumar fitting into this lineup. Also, Karthik Tyagi, Umran Malik, and Natarajan are very impressive fast bowlers. You have your death overs covered right there. Umran Malik is extremely quick alongside Karthik Tyagi as well. So that's a great option for them. Then you have Washington, so you can bat anywhere from number 5 to number 7. So altogether a good setup. And one thing which what I would really like to see from this team is how they are going to play in the middle overs. If Nicholas Puran has a season like he promises to have, then this team is a dynamic team. Then this team might just explode and finish in top 4 just because of the powerhouse they've got in Nicholas Puran. Then you have Aiden Markram who can finish things off for you. And I really hope Abdul Samad steps in as well. There's a season for him now because he's had 2 seasons in IPL already. He showed promises. He showed his odd shots here and there. Where I remember one of the innings where he played in the qualifier number 2 against Delhi Capitals, where he
It went in vain actually.
which went in vain, of course, where he played with Kane Williamson and where he scored quick 36, 40 runs. That was one of those innings which really impressed me because he took on Rabada, he took on Norkia. I also remember him smashing Bumrah and also Patrick Cummins, etc. You remember those odd shots from him, and it really shows that he has the ability to take on really quick fast ballers. So now I believe that now it's the time for him to step up. Same thing for Umran Malik. Umran Malik is still very raw, and I would really like him to step up. And probably you have a Dale Steyn in the setup, so that's going to really help someone like Umran Malik, Karthik Tyagi to really mold themselves and really express themselves as well. You can't get a better bowling coach than Dale Steyn, can you? Because he's one of the greatest to have played the game. So just to be around Dale Steyn and learn a lot of things at least will help these guys going forward. And that's one of the greatest positive about from the setup as well. And same thing for Bhuvneshwar Kumar as well. A great opportunity for Bhuvneshwar Kumar to redeem himself just to work with Dale Steyn, Brian Lara, and the likes of Mutaya Mulladan, who's always been there. So that's why I feel this team is a good team, but middle order is a worry slightly for them. Jen?
Yeah, for me, I think what I've done is I've gone with Aiden Markram and Rahul Tripathi. Up the order, I think Aiden Markram is someone I feel who's a very good person. I mean, very good batsman when it comes to opening, and the fact that you have someone like Rahul Tripathi as well. I think that's a stable opening. I mean, it's not a glamorous opening pair in any ways. I mean, it's not a David Warner or a Prithvi Shaw, but I think it'll do the job. I think they'll do the job. Kane Williamson comes at number 3. Pretty much picks himself. He's gonna be their captain. He's definitely someone. What has really impressed me about Kane Williamson is the fact that he's grown as a T20 player. He's someone who's no more the anchor. He can be as destructive as anyone else in his position. So that is something amazing. I fit in Abhishek Sharma there because I feel they rate Abhishek Sharma a lot and they rate him very highly. So I really see him fitting in there. I'm going with Glenn Phillips because I feel he's a wicket-keeping option, and he's someone who can just let go of the gloves and ball as well. And I really,
I actually didn't include a wicket-keeping option in this team. My bad. Sorry, guys.
you have Puran in your team, right?
Oh, sorry.
You have Nicholas Puran in your team, right?
Yeah, Nicholas
Yeah, I
Puran.
had Nicholas Puran. Yeah, he used wickets. Correct.
The reason why I feel Glenn Phillips is a bit more of a safer bet than Nicholas Puran. I feel Puran's had issues in
Do you
IPL.
really think they've spent 10 crores for having him on the bench? I really don't think so.
They
I mean, this
obviously
is
have
my
roles
team,
for him in the
and I
team.
really rate Glenn Phillips higher. I felt Glenn Phillips was unjustly treated. I really expected him to go for a high bid because he is a 3-dimensional player. He can ball, and that's something incredible.
He's a
in a wicket.
4-dimensional player. He can field, he can ball,
He can field as well. So yeah,
and
true.
he can bat. So he's a 4D player. He's one of the
And
guys.
then you have you have Abdul Samad, whom again I think they rate very highly. They retained him, so Abdul Samad definitely sits in this lineup. I am going with Washington Sundar afterwards. I think this is where probably a bit shaky part of their batting lineup comes up, and this is where the others have to step up. I rate Washington Sundar highly as a batsman. I feel he's a great batsman, up and coming. He's not performed that well in IPL, but his performance in the Indian Test squad shows that he has the caliber. It's probably him transitioning into the T20 lineup. I also go with I'm also going with Shreyas Gopal. I feel he is one of the most underrated buys of this IPL because
I think I should play Glenn Phillips in the case that in my squad I only had 3 overseas picks, if I'm not wrong. Or 4. Actually I had 4. Nicholas Puran also.
No, you did have You also picked Romario Shepherd as well.
So if I have to leave out Romario Shepherd, then I play Glenn Phillips and go with my strong fast bowling contingent, Indian fast bowling contingent. I leave in a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar at 8-9. That's not a bad option because Shreyas Gopal also can swing the bat. So it'll be Bhuvaneshwar Kumar at 8, Shreyas Gopal at 9, Karthik Tyagi and Umran Malik. A very good bowling lineup. Or Natarajan also can come in that place too.
I think what is really helping the Sunrisers lineup is the fact that they, even though they don't have an Indian core batting core, which we see in a lot of IPL teams. Sunrisers always maintained a fast bowling Indian core, and that's very difficult. They're the only team which you probably will think of when an Indian core comes into play, and that is the reason why I mean, there's so many Indian pacers, it's difficult to fit them in the lineup, and it is kind of any bowler who's missing out is sitting on the
Luxury.
bench.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just not been it's just been the fact that the hammer fell the wrong way probably. But the fact that for me, Washington Sundar and Shreyas Gopal is not only providing them batting, not only providing them bowling, but the fact that they're good spinners.
I'm just laughing.
Oh man, I mean the frog in the
Wait.
blender.
I think his career was over that day when Virat Kohli and
Four
everybody
sixes. Four sixes.
took him off. The moment he brought that name, I just brought me the green jersey, Chinnaswamy Stadium, ball going all around the park, his head just rotating. And no disrespect to him, he's from Karnataka as well. But his career began in Karnataka and ended in Karnataka. Period.
It was the talk of the town, during those days.
Yeah, he was like a
Everyone used
ball
to talk
addict for
about
India.
that different type of
Unfortunately,
action.
he had to turn back and look all the time the ball went to the stand. I remember
The
his
frog in
action
the
was
blender. I think a frog in the blender action. That's what it's called.
yeah. Oh my god, I know. I just that name just made me chuckle and no, Madam X, because there's no disrespect. Even we are laughing because this guy is funny.
I think it's just one of those oddities in cricket you can't escape. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I don't know. I can't stop laughing at that name.
I think I'll just quietly move on.
Yeah, please.
I hope you don't choke on the water, bro. So yeah, I mean, for me, one thing is very exciting about Sunrise is the fact that their bowling is still very young. Like one of the best.
We are live. Why we're doing this?
Let's just hope at 1:30 Shival Kaushik is not awake.
Let's go to the next. Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the next few players just pick themselves with Marco Jansen, Umran Malik, and Natarajan. Karthik Tyagi would have featured in any lineup, but the fact that if Natarajan fully fit, I see him as a better option, especially at the death. It still remains to be seen how the management looks at it. It's really a toss up. It could be anyone's day, and it could be just the dice rolling someone else's way.
Yeah. Actually, right, you're right in terms of what you mentioned about Sunrisers Hyderabad. But then I hope they do well because they've shown a lot of potential. And now I think Kane Williamson should start being the captain, right? I think he's the only captaincy option they have if he's fit. If not, then they might have to look at someone like. It's a very interesting option. I don't know whom they'll choose as a captain.
I think they'll go with
I think it was the only
they'll
option.
probably go with someone like Rahul Tripathi then.
No, I don't
That's
think he's a
No,
captain.
no, no.
whom do you pick then? That's the
Actually,
issue.
Aiden Markram can be a solid option, maybe.
Probably, yeah. But then
Maybe.
Aiden
He
Markram
won the
again,
Under-19 World Cup as well. So that's the only option I see.
he's the only. Actually, the fun fact is, I mean, he's the only South African captain to have ever won silverware. So he's probably the best captain in the history of South African
It's
cricket.
Kane Williamson. Actually, we'll quickly analyze Gujarat Titans squad before we end up. I know it's a huge squad to analyze because there were so many options and so many places to fill.
I think by the time the auction was getting over, they had 3 crores and 5-6 players to fill the slots. It was pretty hectic for them.
Okay, Jen, you can start.
Yeah, so I think for me, Gujarat Titans, I think I struggle a lot picking the squad for them. How do I put it? I think it's an interesting squad. I feel they miscalculated in a lot of areas. maybe overpaid in a lot of areas as well. For me, Shubman Gill and Jason Roy start off. I think another very exciting opening pair, and see how it goes. Shubman Gill finally will feel relaxed with the fact that Jason Roy is on the other end.
Hmm.
What worries me is the fact that if Jason Roy doesn't do well, then according to my lineup, and I say this because I am not aware of a lot of youngsters whom they've picked, and I could be wrong here. I am going against a lot of those youngsters, probably because I'm a CSK fan. It runs in
Hmm.
the last 12 years of IPL. But for me, I have Vijay Shankar and Riddhiman Saha. And Riddhiman Saha, again, I'll come to him in a little bit. The reason why I feel if Riddhiman Saha and Vijay Shankar play together, then Jason Roy playing his part is very important. Because then you have someone like Shubman Gill, Vijay Shankar, and Riddhiman Saha going to strike at 120. And that'll really hurt their chances.
Yeah.
And so the only way to counter it is, from what I see, is you play Matthew Wade instead of Ridhiman Saha. Matthew Wade is not a bad pick. He's in great form. He won them the match against won the match against Pakistan by just completely thrashing what is possibly the best bowling attack of that tournament. The fact that
Hmm.
you cannot take the team lightly, he was scooping them all over the place. He is at a very good set mindset. But the issue with playing Matthew Wade, is the fact that then you have to play David Miller at number 4. And you don't know how much David Miller is going to perform in number 4. He definitely fits in terms of left hand, right hand combination.
I really don't see David Miller starting. I would quickly put in
Again,
my starting 11. My starting 11 is Shubman Gill, Jason Roy. Then I'll have Abhinav Sadrangani at number 3, just because of the kind of noise he's making around in the domestic circuit and the talent he's got. He's a young player from Karnataka, 27 years old, but still, he's got a point to prove in this lineup. And at number 4, I'll have an interesting option, Vijay Shankar. At number 5, I'll have Matthew Wade. Number 6, Hardik Pandya. At number 7, I can have Rahul Tewatia. At number 8, Rashid Khan. Number 9 would be Mohammad Shami. Number 10 would be Lockie Ferguson. And number 11 could be a conundrum actually. Should I play Jayant Yadav, Yash Dayal, who they have played almost close to 3.2 crores? Sai Kishore is there, another exciting player from Tamil Nadu. I would play Sai Kishore actually. I would play Sai Kishore just because of what he's doing in domestic circuit. Altogether, a good starting 11, a decent starting 11, but then a lot of chunks in their armor because a lot of holes, clear holes, especially when it comes to middle order batting. Abhinav Satangani not yet tested. Vijay Shankar probably a failure in IPL. Matthew Wade not yet tested in IPL.
Actually, giving
Not
giving an inexperienced player number 3 in IPL team is actually kind of it's very challenging. You just
That's the
can't do
whole
it
point.
in
That's
one
what
go.
we discussed about RCB as
Actually,
well,
it's
right?
better you can actually give it to Shubman Gill. Number
It's
3 to
okay to
Shubman Gill,
play,
that might work.
an inexperienced player number 3, but then you cannot have an inexperienced player number 3, number 4 also a player who has not done well, and number 5 also a player who's yet to prove. Then your middle order is absolutely nothing but something you are hoping will do well. Then if you want to go all throughout, again, if you want to change that
like
out, you don't want
the
a Matthew
fact
at
is,
number 5,
like
then you have to
another
play Indian.
issue with Gujarat Titans will be the fact that because the middle order is so
Two
shaky.
keepers. They have two keepers. They have Ridhiman Saha and Matthew Wade. Ridhiman Saha is not a starter in many of the T20 teams at number 3, number 4 because of his strike rate, what he brings. And he's only good at number 1 and number 2 because he can probably give you the start. He can actually go in and he can be a bully. He can, if you can tell him, Ridhiman, just go out there, take down the attacks, go and score freely. You give us 20, 30 runs, that'll be good for us. Scored 30 runs at 15 balls, and he's a good player of spin, no doubt about it. But he struggles with him in middle overs. That's a fact. So because he just cannot clear the rope in the middle overs when it comes to fast bowling. That's the only reason why he struggles. Then you have to make a Shubman Gill bat number 3. Ridhiman Saha open with Jason Roy. Then you can have a Vijay Shankar and probably a David Miller at number 5. That looks more better. That team looks more rounded. That team looks more solid. But I don't see Shubman Gill nowhere but opening. He also wants that role. He
I
might
think
have already spoken to the owners that I want to open the batting because he also struggles with his strike rate. We have seen that that's a huge criticism which he has, and that's where I feel this team has a lot of chunks in their armor, and it's a team which we'll put for debate throughout the season. I feel because every time they will fail, we'll go back to this thing: who are the replacements? Who do they have? They have I think they have a Dominic Drakes, if I'm not wrong, who's a decent buy, but then I don't think it's going to start.
Also, the fact that I
Uh,
think the middle order being so shaky kind of makes your Hardik Pandya very ineffective, because then you have to bring him at number 5 or number 6. And Hardik Pandya is better off when he has lesser amount of balls and a much more explosive, burst at the end. Now, the fact that there are chances that Hardik Pandya might end up in the 10th over kind of puts them at a very shaky position.
And I don't think Hardik
uh,
Pandya, or else Hardik Pandya should bat number 5 and give
That's
that
probably the
finisher role
position I see him play.
exclusively for Matthew Wade, as what he used to do for Australia. Then in case Tewatia bats number 6, Matthew Wade number 7. That looks even a little better, but then still, Hardik Pandya is still not fit. I don't
Actually,
know how
what
fit
do you
he is.
guys think of Gurkirat Singh, man, just coming there to play a conservative role to actually just anchor the innings and just
Sanky, I think
not
There
my
are
issue
so
not
with
many
let
this
players
is
Hardik
doing
come
that.
on early.
Vijay Shankar's strike rate is not that good. He probably strikes at 115, 120. I'll just tell you how much the Vijay Shankar strike rate in T20 cricket. If he is there, then you already have an Abhinav Sadrankarni who's not a big hitter of the ball. He's also going to be an anchor. Then how many anchors will you have in a team? It's a T20 cricket after all. In T20, Vijay Shankar strikes at 126. There you go.
the
He's
issue
not
is, I
someone who's
think
going to take the attack.
the issue with someone like
Shubman
Gurpreet
Gill,
is on
Shubman
to
Gill
the fact
strikes at
that
similar level as well. Shubman Gill in T20 cricket strikes the ball at 124. Right. You only have a Jason Roy who's an enforcer there. And you have a Hardik Pandya and Rahul Tewatia. Otherwise, nobody is there in the middle order. And even for example, Matthew Wade is not the hardest hitters on the ball. Matthew Wade, if just take
He
away this
might
three.
play according to circumstances and situations, but maybe
Yeah, but he's
not.
a very good player, though. He's a utility player. He
Yeah.
can bat anywhere in the batting order. You ask Matthew to open in a test match, he'll do that. If you ask Matthew to open in a T20 match, he'll do that. Bat at number 7, he'll do that. And he'll still give you results. That's why I want a Matthew Wade ahead of a David Miller. Just because of what he brings. And he can also play the spin bowling really well. He's got the ability to play the spin well, and he's a very gutsy cricketer. He's a very gutsy cricketer. You have seen him take that on. He's got that strength. He's going to definitely motivate his mates around him as well. All because of all these reasons, I would really like to see Matthew Wade starting and probably not Miller. And in that case, then they'll have to go for Mohammad Shami and Lockie Ferguson. Decent bowling lineup, but then batting is where they're going to struggle. I hope their bowling makes up because you'll have
I
Rashid
think
Khan as well.
another issue with them is the fact that they're not looking good at the death bowling as well. So the issue is the fact now you have openers or your top order which is very conservative, which might not give you too many runs early on, and the fact that your death bowling is not as good, which kind of puts you in a difficult position, because then what if your team suddenly gives a 200 240 runs because your death bowling isn't good enough, or what if your opening batsman or your top order is conservative and that causes you to score a 160 on a batting track, and then your
Yeah.
death bowling kind of gives it away anyway. They have
See,
excellent
I
power play
really
bowlers,
see Rashid
but
Khan being their focal point for this bowling lineup. Other bowlers should revolve around Rashid Khan because other teams are definitely not going to use Rashid, definitely not going to go after Rashid Khan as we've seen him with Sunrise
do you
Hyderabad.
think
From
Rashid
the
Khan is
16 overs you have, and if Hardik and Vijay Shankar also can chip in with bowling, that covers a lot of their problems. But Hardik should bowl.
Yeah,
Lot
but
depends on
Hardik
how
said it's a
Hardik will
surprise
bowl.
actually.
able? Whom do you like, if you were in Hardik Pandya's shoes? Who would you give the overs 15 to 20? The
Of
only
course, I
option I
have
see is
to
Rashid Khan.
completely trust on Lockie Ferguson and Mohammad Shami doing the job. I have no other option right now. I'm going to say to Lockie, see, so who are my options? At number 7, it's going to be Tewatia. Number 8 is Rashid Khan. Then if I'm going to play number 9, Sai Kishore, which means 3 spinners, which I won't go. In that case, I'll have to reshuffle again and go for probably another Indian pacer. In that case, I'll have to play probably a Pradeep Sangwan or a Varun Iron at number 8, 9. Then
It's
see, that's a huge problem for them as
I think
well.
it's a
Are they going to
it's
play
it's
three
really
spinners and 3 pacers? If Hardik
it's a
Pandya is fit to
captain's
ball, it's a third
nightmare.
pacer along with Vijay Shankar, but then still another problem for them. So Varun Aaron has
It's
gone for a lot of runs,
like when
and
I was picking the team. I mean, again, the fact that I'm blindsided by many of the youngsters and I have no idea or the clue as to their potential. I kind of felt that Hardik Pandya is going to have a nightmare first season as a captain. It's very difficult to choose. You
but
don't
if
have
Hardik Pandya gets this team to qualify to top 4, I will absolutely take my hat off.
yeah.
Because this team looks like the weakest team on the paper right now, and only couple of players who has done well is Rashid Khan and Jason Roy. Hardik
I
Pandya
think
is still a question mark. Shubman Gill is still a question mark, and Other all the players are still a question mark. Lockie Ferguson is not the best of death ballers. If people really think he's the best death baller, then prove me wrong. Look at his
Like,
record in death balling in terms of overs number 16 to 20. He's not got the best of figures. He goes to 10, he goes close to 9 or 10. If you remember that IPL final which he played very recently,
He was taken for
when he
56
went close
runs.
to 11, he was taken apart by Faf du Plessis. And if you remember last year in a match where 2020, Jadeja actually took him down. Jadeja actually went after him and took him down for 20 runs and over or something. And he's got that problem of dead ball. He gives a lot of full tosses away. He's very erratic when it comes to dead ball. He's a very good middle overs bowler, but not a good dead bowler. Shammi has the same issue. On good days, he'll be very good in dead bowling, but on bad days, what do you do with it? And you cannot have Varun Aaron to compensate, right? And Hardik Pandya is not a dead bowler, not
I
even
think
Vijay Shankar.
the
So
fact that Varun Aaron has the
lot of
same issue.
weakness.
Varun
They
has
have good
Aaron,
bowling department, but not good fast bowling department.
like the issue, the fact that Varun Aaron's career derailed because of the fact that he was erratic as well. The fact that he had the pace, but he gave away too many wide balls, too many short balls, too many full tosses. And
Yeah.
now the issue, I think the fact is, if you run through the squad, except for the players they've retained, most of the players I feel are players who are either probably one season wonders waiting to happen or
Yeah.
question marks. And that is what worries me about Gujarat Titans. And that is why I feel Hardik Pandya has a lot of sorting to do, and the management is not going to be working with a lot of players that they prefer. It's going to be a lot of
Very
adjustment.
person, Ashish Nair has a huge job to do. Let's come to an end of this show because we'll come again with a deep
It's 3 hours.
question.
It's almost a test match session.
Yeah, I think we have played more than a test. It's a full T20 match which we have played over here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed our
I'm,
3 hours
I'm retired
broadcast
hurt,
today.
guys. I'm going.
It's a 3 hour broadcast which we absolutely nailed it. We'll come with more every day. We're increasing our timing. We'll come with watch alongs. I think we're good enough to do that now. And I think this was just a test. During IPL, we'll be here with watch alongs, guys. It's a promise which we are giving you. You can come and watch the IPL with us. Watch it with Sport Intellect. We'll give you live commentary, better than what you get in anywhere. Yeah. Bye,
probably
guys.
better than probably better than
Thank you
Star
for
Sports Hindi
watching.
commentary.
Star Sports don't file a case for this. Okay. We are law students as well. Sorry.